Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mississippi Public Service Commission's Energy, Workforce, and Education Summit. As normal with all of our meetings, we start with prayer and the pledge. And if you'll bow with me, we'll open with prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today, and thanks for all your many blessings, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity to come and learn from one another, and that we may glean some things, Lord, that would help the students and the people of our state accomplish great things, Lord. Pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us as we endeavor down this path, and that you would give us wisdom and guidance. We pray that you would be with our country, Lord, and that you would have mercy upon us as a people. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Commissioner Stamps.
Please stand. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to our Energy and Workforce Education Summit. We're grateful to have each of you here with leaders from education, industry, workforce development, and government, all committed to strengthening Mississippi's energy future. Today's summit is about one thing: our people. The people who keep our energy systems running, the people we're training for the jobs of tomorrow, and the people who will lead Mississippi into a more resilient, innovative, and competitive energy landscape. Our goal this morning is to highlight the opportunities ahead, identify the challenges we must tackle together, and elevate the partnerships that make real progress possible. Workforce development is not a side conversation. It is central to the future of our state's energy sector and our future. Thank you for being part of this important dialogue. We look forward to a productive and inspiring morning. I'll open the floor to colleagues for remarks.
Well, good morning, everyone. We appreciate you for definitely all the hard work it took to get here, but also the interest it takes to be in this industry, because I believe that this industry is the best industry in the world. Guaranteed, hands down, the utility space is where it's at. And I always champion for utilities. So I hope you learn something today, make a relationship that you can build a career off of in the future, because the utility industry is what I consider Mississippi's #1 industry.
Thank you, Commissioner Carr. Commissioner Stamps. Commissioner Carr.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is our country's at a crossroad, and our state is at a crossroad too. Back in 24, I made a comment that our state and our nation, when you compared 25 to 30, 2025 to 2030, we have nothing to compare it with, nothing that I have researched. That's how fast it's changing. So when we move forward to 2030 to 2035, that's another crossroad. And it's our job as this commission to try to keep us on course, to make sure it's prudent, we're doing the right things. Because I don't want to sit back on my porch 15 years from now and know that I failed. My ears is all open. Our eyes are all open to plot this course to help our young people out. That's our job. And I think that our leaders in our state has done a tremendous job. But it's our job to keep us on course, especially in what we regulate. And we take it very serious. Our teams in our offices take it very serious. I want Mississippi to succeed and to move forward. And we're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll echo those comments. I like to say it's the most transformative time in the energy space since Edison discovered the light bulb. It's almost that transformative, and so it's exciting to have young people. And I'll echo what Commissioner Stamps is saying. This is one of the most exciting fields out there right now. The potential for growth is amazing. the amount of revenue that it's going to generate for our state and our people is going to be tremendous. Not only on the infrastructure, not only on the power side, but the build out and the infrastructure. So engineers, mechanics, masonry, all those things are going to go into building out this brave new world of energy. And so I show my age when I quote a movie called, the quote of the movie is, and some of you will get it, but if you build it, they will come. It's a Field of Dreams movie, obviously. So the state in the country that has the capacity and provides low cost, reliable, and resilient power will win the economic development battle. And so it's good to see if some of our business friends in the room, they know that, we know that, and we're all one team pushing forward. And if we get this right, and we're dedicated to getting it right, the young people in this room are going to benefit greatly from the efforts that we're trying to do, and then your efforts coming up and following the pattern and executing the plan. So it's going to be a brave new world for Mississippi and for the United States. So we're excited about it. First off, we'd like to introduce Adam Todd, Mississippi Department of Employment and Security. We have a cool poster over here too that. Welcome, thank you.
And I hope to not take up too much of all of your time, but just thank you very much, Commissioners, for allowing me to be here today. Adam Todd, Mississippi Department of Employment Security, Director of Business Outreach, Quality Assurance, the Governor's Job Fair Network falls under me. We also have Clayton Smith with us today. He is over our business outreach group, but really piggybacking off of what you gentlemen were saying, there's a lot happening right now. And one of the things we're trying to do is get ahead of the 8 ball as opposed to being behind it. You see our flyer there, the 2026 Energy Expo and Job Fair. So right now we have about 15 businesses that are registered and looking for more. So if your business, organization slightly touches the energy sector, we would love for you to participate. And more than anything, we're highlighting, trying to bring more awareness to everything that is going on right now. What we're up to 50-something billion and already being spent that's going to come down the pipeline. So we are pivoting ourselves to piggybacking also off of what the Governor Reeves tried to do, the power play that he mentioned last year.
I can't miss this opportunity. Rachel, can you get that board and put it behind him? The optics would be fantastic for people watching at home.
So really, we're trying to force ourselves to not just be consumers, but producers of energy. And it's going to take a lot of hands coming together to make this happen. So one of the ways we are able to try to help and produce and promote all that's taking place is by having this expo on April 21st at the Biloxi Civic Center. And again, it is an expo. So some of these businesses may or may not be hiring, but still we want the public, we want the youth, we want the workers of tomorrow to be aware of everything that is involved in this energy sector. So that's the premise, that is the basis for what we are doing. And yes, hopefully a lot of these individuals will gain wonderful employment at some of the businesses that will be there. But, you know, we're hoping that things are going to go well. And next we will be probably here in the metro area and then possibly up in the northern part of the state. So we are taking a different approach when it comes to job fairs. We do about 30 of these across the state each year. We have a plethora of businesses, very eclectic businesses that participate. But we're taking a more industry-specific approach to these events, really hoping to increase the hire rate at a lot of these events. And the energy sector is the one that we kind of tap to tackle this firsthand. So again, guys, we appreciate it. Jobfairs.ms.gov is our website. You can see all of the businesses that will be participating, all of the job openings that they have listed with us. And you can see all the job fairs that we're doing across the state of Mississippi. Another thing that we are responsible for is the Mississippi Works app. That is Clayton and his team's sole job is to go around the state to bring business, industry, as well as individuals to find those jobs into the Mississippi Works. And just to make sure I am accurate, Right now, in the Mississippi Works app, we do have 39,143 active jobs. So again, jobfairs.ms.gov, so you can see where we will be, what businesses will be participating, and do not forget the Mississippi Works, so you can also find jobs close to your home. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Appreciate it. Look forward to the job fair, and I know that Commissioner Stamps and I would love to have it replicated in the Central and Northern District, so we'll keep working on that. Moving right along with introducing Dr. Courtney Taylor. To begin our program, it's my this morning is Courtney Taylor. There you are. Okay. This morning, she will share insights on the future of energy workforce development, where we are, where we're headed, and what it will take to prepare Mississippi's workforce for the rapidly evolving energy sector. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Well, I am grateful to be here this morning. I am loud, so I am sorry in advance for that, but
No, loud's good. 'Cause
Okay,
people-
good. Then I'll be loud.
People complain they can't hear online. So.
Okay, all right. Well, to the thousands of people listening, this morning, first of all, if you haven't gotten your coffee this morning, go ahead and get that. I've got a long time to talk, and I'm going to try to make it as painless as possible. And I'd say this morning, I was asked to talk about the future of the energy workforce, but I really want to talk to the future of the energy workforce, which happens to be somewhat in the room today. The students that we have today in our K-12 programs and our community college programs, that really is going to be our future, and I'm not sure we're disciplined enough as we think about that. I don't want to wax poetic because that's not what I'm good at, but who we're talking to are the people that 1 year, how long is y'all's program? 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. So in a year or two max, you're going to be in the workforce, and based on some numbers I see, y'all are from the electrical program at Hines, is that right? Based on the numbers I see, making really good money. So don't stop now, is what I'm going to say. But all of these conversations about workforce happening in rooms like this, about energy, about infrastructure, about economic development, it really all boils down to one simple thing that is very, very complicated at the end of the day, but it's, do we have enough people to do the work? And I would love to stand up here and tell you that the answer is yes, but the answer is not yet. We have enough humans. We don't have enough humans who are interested in it with the right set of skills. And we, right now, in my opinion, don't have the discipline that we need to produce it. We need 10 times the number of these guys sitting on the front row in these programs. We need 10 times these programs to be able to do this. I don't think we have, and I was reading some stuff online this morning about, oh, this is an innovation in education. No, it's not. I don't even think it's a not enough money problem. I'm not saying there's not enough money. I'm not saying there's too much money. I'm saying we have the reality that we don't have enough money going into the right places because we've got 4 or 5 when we need 40 or 50. So there's things that we have to think about. We do have a scale problem. Like I said, I think we have a discipline problem, and I'll explain a little bit what I mean by that. And I think we have an attention problem. I think as a profession, which I consider myself to be a workforce development practitioner, it's all I have to care about. Workforce development all day, every day. I think that my profession has an honesty problem. And I want the students to hear that. I don't think we have enough money going into the right places, and I think we have more than enough money going into the wrong places. These are not easy things to say. These are not popular things to say. It took y'all likely, and again, I'm talking to the students, some effort to find the program that you're in now. Did you just walk into it and say, this is what I'm going to do, and everything was easy? Nope. We got to smooth that out, and we've got to make that easier for kids. We've got to make it easier for adults and students to do the thing we want them to do and harder to do the things we don't want them to do. And I think that is the future of the energy workforce and workforce in general. I believe we have some good programs. We don't have enough of them. I don't think we have the right rigor across the board. I think we have to really examine that. I think we have committed educators and employers. They're not doing it for the money on the education side. But what we don't have is enough people moving through these systems fast enough to meet the demand. Just this morning, I'm prone to anger is my first response. Just so y'all know, it's part of my charm. But I was reading a post on social media from somewhere that major accreditors have reduced the number of years, the number of credit hours required to graduate with a normal 4-year degree down to 90 credit hours. And that's not the FAST that I'm talking about. And so that's what I want y'all. I want to make sure I draw that distinction here. Is I'm saying why do we skip summers in education? If it's a 45-hour course program, why can't they get that done in 3 semesters? Well, funding is why, but I won't go into that today. I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about it loud, and I'm really grateful that I work for bosses, 2 of whom are here today, so, if I hit a nerve, talk to them. But I work for the State Workforce Investment Board, which is private business and industry, and you'll hear from our chairman and vice chairman in a little bit. But essentially, 2 years ago, they set a goal that we needed to train 19,000 people by 2035 above and beyond what our system could already train for. 19,000 more. Total. And do you know what's happened since? Crickets. From most, I should say. So when we talk about the future of the energy workforce, the reality is we are already behind where we need to be. The Amazon announcement, the Avio, the Compass, all of these things, all these heavy infrastructure investments, what Entergy is doing, all require a workforce that we didn't have. And we're lucky because they can bring them in from other places. And so I'm very grateful for that, and I'm not bemoaning that. But I need more of y'all in those kinds of careers. We've got to be very honest with where we are, and we've got to be really disciplined about how to get where we need to go. We have a lot to be proud of where workforce development is concerned, in my opinion, but I do think we still have a lot to do. I think, as an office, our office is 6 years old this year, and we've been very, very fortunate to make a lot of really hard decisions. We've moved past funding safety meetings and fire drills and are now funding collaborative robots and augmented reality training to mimic environments our trainees will face in the future. The reality, though, is for us to meet our future where we're going, we've got to move past this aspirational goal of everyone gets a college degree and what that degree looks like. We have to talk about a future, and in order to talk about the future, I think there's some data points that you all need to absorb, and then I'm going to get energy specific. So for the students, you guys are an anomaly in this group right here, and I want you to understand that. You've obviously chosen a path that's different from everybody else or from the majority. If you graduate from a Mississippi public high school, there's an 82% chance that you're enrolling in college. In fact, we're the #1 state in the nation for sending kids to college. We do not have a problem getting kids to college. We very much have a problem getting them in programs that matter. Yes, sir. Did you have Interrupt me anytime.
Okay, just that statistic is very interesting. I never heard that. So we're the #1 state in the percentage of college, high school students that go to college.
Yep, percent of population that goes to college.
Do you have the metrics on how many of those graduate?
No, I'll share that in just a second.
Okay.
But I will tell you that in year 2, we are number 37, meaning they go to college, but
So
they
go from
miss
1 to 37.
Mhm.
Yeah.
in 1 year of their advancement.
We had, in Monroe County, we had the Gilmore Foundation started free community college to everybody in the county. And that's what they found, is that a lot of people went, but they didn't stick. And so there was a lot of money spent, but very little help for the student or for the funds that were spent. So thanks. I just had to, that stuck out, that we were.
So feel free to interrupt me because I will just go.
Okay.
So
I'm just glad we have this wall because your anger thing. So,
I'm 6 feet tall, so it's a lot of anger, right? Like it's not like a little bit of anger.
thank you. Great presentation so far. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Oh, no, that's fine. But a couple of more data points. So if you're part of the 18% of students who do not go to college, you're going to earn an average of $27,000 per year if you don't go to college at all. So you don't enroll, period. What we are talking about, though, is degree-seeking pathways when I talk about going to college. I'm not talking about non-credit programs. Hines, I think your line worker program is non-credit, right? So that wouldn't be considered degree-seeking. So 18%.
Is that a Mississippi average or a national average?
Mississippi. Every data point is for Mississippi.
Okay.
And I'm not killing y'all with data, I promise. There's a couple of points.
It's actually pretty cool, so.
Thanks. One of the hardest parts of what I do is giving data points that matter without giving you a whole spreadsheet, because the spreadsheets lose people. Short data points. So if you're 18% don't, you're going to make $27,000 a year. If you do enroll in post-secondary education, only 27% of the people who enroll in post-secondary education will actually earn a degree in 6 years. Okay, so we're sending 82% of our kids to school, only 27% of them are earning a degree in 6 years, okay? That's why I'm mad. And that's why I think everybody else should be mad too at some level. And this isn't about the educators, this is about the system.
And the money that students spend and the investment that they make for only 27% to have a degree to show for it. So that's a very interesting stat. So
It's concerning. You know, I do spend a lot of time talking about the programs that we need more of. We need more kids in occupational degrees. We need more electricians. We need more all of that stuff. I worry more about the students who go to college and don't complete than I do the ones who never go at all. They seem to figure it out, as the data will show, because the other thing you'll see is 33% of the students who enroll and don't complete, excuse me, not 33%, of the students who enroll and don't complete, they will make around $25,000 per year. So if you enroll in college and don't complete, you're going to make $25,000 in Mississippi. If you don't enroll in college at all, you'll make $27,000 a year. So not only do you not have debt or shame or whatever, I mean, you have the cultural shame because everybody says you have to go to college. And by college, I mean 2-year, 4-year, everything. I'm not just talking about universities here. That is concerning to me, especially as the entity that operates the Career Coach program. We have a statewide Career Coach program. We've had this for a few years now. And so this data is from 2014 to 2019 because you have to get 6 years out. So we'll see what it looks like in a few years to see if that's making a difference. It's not about going to college or not going to college. It is about finding a degree path and an occupation that works for you, and it is not linear. So what I want to say to the students this morning as I keep going is you have to keep going. It's not going to be linear. Whatever you think you're going to do today, there was nothing in my history that said I should be the state executive director of the workforce. I am outspoken and can be slightly annoying. So there's nothing that I said. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to go do this thing. I just took my life where it led me and where my mentors led me, get a good mentor, and I'm thankful for that. So let's go back to the data real quick. If you average across all completers from Mississippi of degrees, the average is $39,000 a year. So 4-year, 2-year, you go to college, you make $39,000 a year. You don't go to college at all, you make $27,000 a year, okay? So just keep that in mind. And these are probably sobering numbers because my profession lies about the data all the time. We pick one data point and we'll say, well, that guy makes $140,000 a year. And then that's what we tell kids. And then we wonder why they're disappointed when they start out making 40.
Ask a question, please.
Yes, sir?
Doing a comparison, do you know what the cost of the average income? I know for $27,000, but what does it cost to live? To give that comparison back.
Yep.
To let them know.
So our numbers, the numbers that we follow anyway for our office is a little over $20 an hour, which would be about $42,000 a year, is for a single individual, what we call living wage.
I'm talking about the cost to live.
That living wage, that's what we say. It takes about $42,000 a year to live in Mississippi across the state.
So we're short.
Yeah. Yep. Now, that number has increased. It was $16.04 an hour 5 years ago. It's hard to keep up with that as a nation, but yeah.
So, that's an interesting data point too. Obviously, the 42,000 gets it above any federal program.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of gets out of that area of low income earners. But even a college completer is below that 42,000
On average, yes.
on average. Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to talk about that too in a second. So one of the things I learned when I was working on my dissertation is what you major in matters more than the fact that you go to college. Because what we like to say is College students, if you go to college and you get a degree, you'll earn on average $1 million more than a high school graduate, right? Have y'all heard that? Like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to get a degree, you'll earn $1 million more on average in your life. There's $1 million difference at the 4-year degree level on the lowest earning majors and the highest earning majors. So I'm not even going to pick out the lowest ones. Y'all figure that out in a minute. But your engineers, your accountants, your doctors obviously make more money. It takes real skill, though. It takes real skill to do what y'all are doing. Playing with things that literally will kill you. So I appreciate that y'all are willing to do that. I'm not touching electricity. I don't have the attention span for it. So I'm trying to stay close to this thing, but I feel like I'm moving in now. So I'm sorry for the people online. But now in Mississippi, if you get an Associates of Applied Science from a community college, which is what we typically call a 2-year degree, that number is somewhere between $42,000 and $52,000 a year, depending on where you live, which is directly related to what job market you enter. So that's what our data shows: $42,000 to $52,000 a year if you get a 2-year degree in associate's science or an associate's in science, which is the end degree of what you guys are in, even though you may be getting a 1-year or 18-month certificate. For 4-year degrees, if you get an occupational degree, you're going to make more than any other major: general business, liberal arts, psychology, whatever. I don't say any of this to sway opinions. I do say this to tell you that I do not think we are honest enough about the outcomes from education. So that means the young people in our state are making really important decisions with really bad data. And so are our policymakers, because this data should not be surprising to anyone, but it is every time we've said it. Patrick, would you agree? Yep. Patrick's my board chairman, so here we are. So I'm going to go up a level and talk about industry sectors for a minute, because ultimately we're here talking about energy. Based on the data, Commissioner Stamps, you are correct about the quality of the industry that you represent. Average wages in Mississippi look something like this: agriculture and forestry, about $47,000 a year. Mining and oil gas, these are wages, average wages. Mining and oil and gas extraction, $105,000 a year. Utilities, $138,000 a year.
Y'all hear that? Say that part again. Repeat that part, please.
Utilities, $138,000 a year. There was nothing higher in our state than utilities.
We told you it was more exciting in this industry, didn't we? Money's exciting too, so, right?
It is.
Yeah.
You know, money's not everything, but most people, we're just expensive, you know? So, like, we need to make money.
It's exciting.
It is. Manufacturing is $70,000 a year. $72,000 a year. Construction is $70,000. Arts and entertainment, $27,000 a year. And food services, $35,000 a year. I'm not making the point. You can figure it out yourself. Now, these are average wages. The reality, though, is those higher paying jobs require higher skills. You're not just going to hire anybody. Entergy and Mississippi Power and our utility companies in general, they're not just hiring anybody off the street. They hire people that work safe and know how to do the job and are of quality, okay? So you got to be of quality to make those wages, but they are there. And these are average wages, so I don't want the students in the room to think that's what I think you're going to start out with. But you better start out at more than $40,000 a year. If you don't, you need to talk to your instructor, right? You'll get them something better, won't you? Yeah. So what you major in matters. We know that. Money isn't everything. So this whole career thing really is a complex progression of decisions that most are making without really good data. And we're working on that as an office, and I won't get into that today, but we're trying to shine a light on this data very publicly so that kids can figure out the options available to them and which one meets what they want to do in the moment. I'm not even going to tell y'all have to do this forever. But I think even just understanding electrical stuff can help you around your house and whatnot. So figure out where you want to go and stack those programs and stack whatever training you need to get there. So you're going to have opportunity in anything related to energy to make on average $70,000 to $140,000 per year in Mississippi, okay? What did I say that the living wage was? $42,000 a year. It's pretty good living here, okay? So we're talking about also building and maintaining the infrastructure that powers all of this. You've got electricity, you've got broadband, data centers, advanced manufacturing. This is the work that's really making everything else possible. We need a lot more people doing it, and our system is not expanding at the rate that we need it to give you guys the people that you need to do these jobs. We need electricians, pipe fitters, line workers, project managers, instrumentation techs, you name it, we need it right now. So for the students in the room, I got a feeling you figured out what you want to do. Have you figured out where you want to do it? Like what industry you want to do it in? Not arts and entertainment, obviously, because y'all know that's not where you want to go. Have y'all kind of figured that out yet, or are you going to convince them that they want to be in this industry today?
That's the point.
Okay. All right. So that he's telling you that the end result today is that you're going to do this. So,
But
yes, sir.
in our history, most of our grandparents were steered in the right direction by people who cared, whether it be a teacher or a counselor or somebody, steered them in the direction that they were in because their parents may not have known about opportunities that were out there. So that's what we're doing here today is just saying, hey, you can make between $70,000 and $140,000 on average and live right here in Port Gibson, Mississippi, or Utica, or
If you choose correctly.
If you choose correctly, and still have access to a high quality of life, growth potential, and the things necessary to make you a stable adult.
Yep.
And you can still TikTok on the side.
That's fair. I think though the point that you hit on there is we're so far removed. We spent as a nation, and I know y'all don't want to get into this, but you're going to have to for a minute because I got 45 minutes. We spent probably 30 years, 3 decades, bemoaning hard work and labor and the things that actually produce for this country. And now we're wondering why people don't value the hard work and the things that produce. And I don't want to paint a different picture for anybody. Some of this work is hard. Most of it's hard. Choose your hard, right? Like my work is hard too. I just don't get shocked.
But guess what? Because it's hard and you have to do it, you're not replaceable by AI and other things.
Correct.
Right.
Some serious job security there.
Very much so.
Yeah. And I hate to digress, but there's one thing. There was a presidential candidate came through Mississippi years ago, and I won't mention who it was, but he was pushing that in the university space, and this has been 8 years ago, right? And so he said he was pushing to make sure that your guidance counselor, when you go into college, that they say, okay, your chosen discipline or chosen field, how much is it going to take to get the degree? How many jobs are out there that can you get with that degree? And what is the average salary of that degree? And you kind of went through that. And I think that's what a main portion of this is, to educate people. Commissioner Stamp said, and you said it, you have to have a mentor, and you have to have the light shine on what is available out there. And like I said, so many people go to college, and I'm not an anti-college guy. All my kids went to college. I've got one graduate in May for respiratory therapy from ICC, and she's got a great job waiting for her afterwards, and that 42,000 plus. So college is necessary, but we do have to be honest and say what these degrees are, what you're going to school for, how much is it going to cost you, and is it a good investment?
Exactly.
And here's the outcome, and here's where you're going. And obviously, we think energy is a great investment, and linemen, again, there's job security in that. Linemen, electrician, plumbers, pipe fitters, they're not going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah, anything related to infrastructure is here to stay, and it's pretty solid. Now, not everybody wants to do that, and that's cool. I would be a horrible welder, and I learned that through a robotic welding situation. I was really sad about it, but I'm not going to be a welder, Patrick. This is probably it for me.
Make a comment on that.
Please.
Welding,
Yes, sir.
you may surprise yourself. Do you know at Ingalls during World War II who held the record for the longest feet in welding per day?
A woman.
A woman.
Yeah, love it.
A little bit of discipline, more attention to detail.
Yeah,
Probably a
I do
little
that
less,
all the time at my house.
I'm
probably a
pretty
little
much
less anger.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a little bit more of a chaos creator than a good bead maker, but there's path for everybody, right? And it all goes back to my twin brother told me that the thing he was working on wouldn't shock me, and it shocked me, and I'm done. I don't need to touch any of that anymore ever. So here we are. So I just I use words and not my hands, and my job is open to AI. Y'all's isn't. So what's that?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck getting AI to say this stuff. But I just got tickled. So anyway, so based on the figures that I gave you guys earlier, obviously we already know that there are jobs that pay more and jobs that pay less. And the simple reality is there's just not one path to success anymore. We don't really understand that, though. My parents' generation, for that generation, absolutely was the people who went to college, got a 4-year degree, got a master's degree, got a PhD, did better. And I'm not suggesting that you won't do well if you do those things. I'm just saying there's other options. So as we talk about the future of the energy workforce, the reality is it's here today. And it really smacked us in the face really hard with Amazon in the best way as a new office. And I'll tell you all a real quick story. We met with Amazon in fall, late fall, early winter of 23, I guess. And we go in there with because we support new companies moving to Mississippi, doing workforce for them. And we went in there with all of our data about electrical engineers and software engineers, because that's what we thought they were going to need. And about 20 minutes in, the Nick from Amazon stopped us and said, "We're not worried about that. We'll figure out how to operate the data centers." He's like, "What we're worried about is what they call information infrastructure." And we said, "Oh, well, that's great. That would have been really good to know before we got here, because you can't find this information online." What they're worried about is the building of all of these facilities, and then ultimately the building of the energy facilities that are going to support them. And so that is really built into the core of our office and of me personally, because those fields have really great entry-level opportunities for people with pasts, people who, if you just want to work every day, there's a job for you right now in Mississippi, but you got to want to work. And so that's the reality. You got to show up, you got to care about the work, you got to build some confidence, and you've got to know how to talk to people, which is something that I think is a little bit of a lost art. And then I'll say for me, you got to know when to shut up. That's for my bosses. I don't really know when to shut up yet, so we'll figure it out. But the reality is it's here today. I told you earlier that we've already identified that we need 19,000 additional workers. That's just for our priority occupations that we have identified. Right now, we have thousands of workers every day in this state building data centers, and most of them aren't from Mississippi. And again, I don't bemoan that. I'm glad they're here. I'm grateful they're here. I just want our people to have those jobs in the future when the next wave of something hits. The demand for workers in this space is not gradual. It hit hard. And so I'm grateful that they move and that they can go, but we have a massive investment in energy systems. We have massive growth in data centers and this digital infrastructure. We have an increasing demand for skilled trades, and not all of it shows up in the job projections. Why? Because about 23 or 24% of our workforce is retiring, and we've been talking about this for 30 years. We knew the baby boomers were going to retire for 30 years, and what did we do about it? Nothing. Thank you, Ginger. We did nothing. We talked about it. We prognosticated, we did all this stuff, but it's here now, and COVID sped that up. We had about 10 years of change happen in 2 or 3 years, and it sped it up. So for this generation of workers, you have more opportunity than any worker in the last 20 years. It is amazing, the opportunity that you have out there. So tell your friends, because we need more of y'all going. But as we go, as people retire, as we open up the job market and look at different things, we're talking about electricians and line workers and welders, industrial maintenance technicians, equipment operators, data center technicians. These are really not backup options. These are essential, high-value careers, and employers are not looking for perfect resumes in this field specifically. That's amazing opportunity for a lot of our workforce that maybe is older, that maybe has gone and tried the college route, didn't want to do it. But they're looking for people who will show up, who will do the job. Now, I will tell you, I represent a certain segment of government, which is workforce. What I see is that it is really sexy and really fun to talk about what's new. Education and government, we love this stuff, right? New programs, new initiatives, new ideas. These are the things that have value, but they are not the core issue. The real issue is that we do not have enough people entering the programs. We do not have enough programs for them to enter, hear me plainly, but we do not have enough people in those programs. So when I say I don't need 10 new programs, and I'll give y'all an example. The one thing we said, we work with MBA on the AI Accelerator for Talent program. We specifically told the education institutions we do not want more degrees. We do not need degrees in artificial intelligence. What do you think they did? Degrees in artificial intelligence. And it's like, that's not what we need. We need to incorporate these skills, okay? I'm not saying we need 10 new programs. I need more electrical programs. I need more plumbing programs. I need more of those things, but those are still the same thing. I just need more of them. I need 1,000 more seats in these programs statewide because we know these already produce results. We know kids are already getting a job. And what I hear from the education sector sometimes is we don't want to overproduce. And I have a lot of fun with this one, as you can imagine, with my personality. And I'm like, can we please overproduce electricians and not liberal arts? No shade to liberal arts, because if you do liberal arts and get a data certificate, you're going to be unstoppable. But if we're okay overproducing general studies, we should be okay overproducing electricians. And I would just really like to worry about that when we get there and let me and Bill Court go sell that. So we could have a lot of fun with that. But some of the things that we do, we chase credentials instead of competencies. And we are working really hard with our community colleges, some of which are in the room today, through our office with clarifying the competencies that are needed in entry-level jobs, and then we'll match the credentials on the backside. So we've kind of, as a nation, we've done this wrong. So we're trying to figure out how to do this best. We measure participation instead of outcomes at every level of workforce, and I am telling you it's killing our workforce, okay? I don't care how many kids are enrolled at any of the community colleges or universities in this state. Genuinely do not. I care about how many we are producing and in the fields that we need them in, and can the companies that I work with get the talent that they need. We design systems that are complicated instead of clear, and if you're not from education, there is really no way to understand how it operates, and that's a shame, and that's what we're trying to kind of clean up a little bit. For the students in the room, this affects you directly because it creates confusion. There are too many options, there's not enough clarity, and there's no clear line from where you are today, and you guys are different. Y'all know where y'all can go to work, don't you? You just I was paid to say that, but we have to work through having a very clear step-by-step understanding of how we can get kids into careers and adults, and we have to make it simpler for them without hiding it behind complicated systems. So if we know what's broken, which I believe we do at this point, and we've been real honest about that, which is hard to take sometimes, what does the future actually look like? It's not complicated, but it does require us to do a few things differently. So we've got to stop asking what new thing should we build, and we should start asking what's already working and how do we expand it quickly. But in order to do that, we're going to have to fund it, and that is a challenge right now. A better question even would be, how do we sunset things that are not producing the results? It's okay to get it wrong. It's not okay to get it wrong every year, year after year after year. Make the mistake, fix it, move on. We've got to get rid of degrees and pathways that we know lead to nowhere, even in spite of pressure from the world around you. And because of some changes at the federal level, so you talked a little bit about the scorecard a second ago, we have, right now, we know of over 40 programs, academic programs or educational programs, I should say, that are going to lose access to federal student loans next year, year after this. 40. That's based on incomplete data. We expect that to rise. So whether we do the hard work or the feds do the hard work's going to get done, and we're going to be limiting things.
Hover over that for just a second. So obviously, student loans are not going to be given to people in those disciplines, right?
Correct.
And there's how many right now?
A little over 40, I think about 43.
Do you have like example 4 or 5?
Social work, chemistry.
Chemistry.
Depending on the college, yes. Ready? Cosmetology. You're not going to have a cosmetology program with access to student loans in any state. Wow. And we get into these conversations quickly devolve. We call it the 3 C's in my space. We call it childcare, culinary, cosmetology. And these are low-paying fields. And we have to admit that. One of the challenges with things like cosmetology is we know they're 1099, not W-2. And so obviously, if y'all don't know what 1099 is, y'all got to figure this out. It's basically where you get as poor as possible on paper so you don't have to pay taxes. Forgive me for saying that way, but that's my
Well,
skill.
and as an employer, you don't have to match FICA and all that stuff too.
Yep.
So 1099 is supposed to be temporary.
Yep.
And
Well,
it's,
in the cosmetology world, a lot of times they set up their
Correct.
own shops and
Yep.
things like that. And so what has traditionally happened is we get into this conversation of, well, but that's not how it should be. I'm like, I don't care. That's how it is.
it's the reality of the
Like,
world.
it is.
Right.
And the feds are working through IRS data for the first time. These are not unemployment insurance wages. This is IRS. So this is based off of what people are telling the government and what the government can verify. So
So how long has the federal government been moving down this path?
about 6 months.
Oh, so it's brand new.
I think it does go back decades when they've realized there was a problem. Government's just really slow. But the one big beautiful bill, I guess that was last summer that passed. It really put all this into a spin. So these are federal in statute changes you're not getting out of them.
Wow.
And so the data is not complete. So we don't have all the data yet. We won't have it all probably until next spring. And then those programs, students will have to be, right now, they have to have, the universities and community colleges have to have on their website what wages they're going to make and have to start advising them, to your point that you made earlier.
Yep.
For real, not just like a report at the end, because that's what we often do with education is to just give us a report about it, and we don't actually force the hand, and that's what they're doing.
Well, as we were talking before, that the America that we once knew is transforming quickly. And so the days of people having large student debt with a degree that can't pay off the debt seems ridiculous. And now it's kind of coming to the forefront that you can still do that, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it with student loan because you can't pay it back, and that's not fair to the individual or to the taxpayer that's funding those loans as well.
Yeah, what I hear a lot is, we just do what the students want. And I am not a parent, okay? But I know if my parents had just let me do what I want, I would live in a van down by the river with my 73 horses, and it would be a really bad day for me. So somebody has to lead the students into things that actually pay and then let them choose.
Well, that's the mentor you were talking about. And so if we don't mentor and be honest, and you mentioned that too, if we're not honest with students that are going into education with the expectation of having a better life and a higher quality of life, and we're promising that if you get a degree or certificate that you're going to be better off than the average Mississippian, and you're not, that's a travesty.
Yep.
And
And
it's,
it hurts people.
yes, it hurts a lot of people. So let's be honest on the front end and let the students, which are smart, put their efforts in something that is going, there's a lot of jobs that are available, and the prospects of that field are very good, and you can make a great living for you and your family.
Yep. And incentivize what we want more of, just like we do for business and industry.
Sure.
We want more high-paying jobs, let's incentivize them. We want more people in those high-paying jobs, let's incentivize them.
And that kind of goes along with if you build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
If you have the workforce and people that are willing to do it, that makes MDA's job and MMA. I see some MMA in the room. It makes their job easier, as well as adding more revenue and more productivity to the state. And so it's exciting times, not only in the energy sector, but just with the transformation of education and how the students are going to have a better opportunity 6 months from now than they did 2 years ago.
But it hurts a little bit like pulling off a Band-Aid that's been super glued to your skin. So we got some hard pains coming. Yes, sir.
We understand that our infrastructure needs to be worked on, fixed, rebuilt, et cetera. Do you have data of how our energy companies, it doesn't matter what they are, whether they be gas, electricity, our infrastructure on water and sewer, how much of an investment are they making into these young men and women? How many millions of dollars?
So
Is
I
this
don't
ten-
have that number. That would be pretty hard to get to. But most of them have some version of an apprenticeship program or something like that. they put more, I mean, obviously, they have their programs. We can ask that question, but I probably won't be satisfied with the
I
answer.
just did a simple little search. I used one of their tools, AI.
Yep, there you go.
And I'm an old school guy. Cooperative Energy, 135,000 in grants. Mississippi Power Energy in the hundreds of thousands. So our Rural Water Association, they've developed a school right here close where they can train operators. I was talking to one of my investigators yesterday. One certified operator is subbing out his skills and his certification for 5 water sewer companies. That's how short we are, folks.
Do you know the average
Yes.
age of a water wastewater operator in Mississippi right now?
What's that?
Do you know the average age?
No,
64.
64. Can you tell?
64.
64.
So we have, and I'm from the construction field. I have a long history, and I got some comments later. So there's 2 out of 5. 5 get out, 2 get in. Because of what you said earlier. We focus so much, and I'm guilty of that. All 3 of my children have 2 that are masters, that are school teachers. And I may make a comment for my 2 girls right now, and all of the school teachers, whether they're at kindergarten or daycare, all the way up to the PhD level. The focus on our state is because of their hard work. What they have done is because of their hard work. I've seen them, my 2 daughters, sit there and grade papers on their time off because they believe in this state. They believe in every one of y'all. We're here because of them. We've got to continue. It's a very hard thing. Construction work is very hard. You have to focus. When you get into the electrical side, and even when you get into the gas side, you have to stay focused. When you're on the job, that's what you got to be thinking about. You can't think about going fishing. You can't think about going hunting. If you don't, you're going to get yourself hurt, or worse, it will cause your life or one of your friends, your workers. They have your back.
No, I appreciate those comments, and I think I would add to them just a little bit by saying we're all probably here because of an educator, so let's be realistic about that. But I think if we truly have a shortage of teachers like we say we do, why aren't we looking at new models? And I know this isn't a question for y'all; it's just a question. Do we need a master's level teacher? Do we need a bachelor's degree level teacher? Do we need an apprenticeship? Do we need to get? Does a kindergarten teacher need 4 or 5 years of education before they can even start? I am of the mindset that I understand why we do it the way we do it. I want people in classrooms who care. I want nurses who want to be there, not for the money, not that anybody's doing it for the money in the education space, but I do think we've got to figure out new ways to help people who want to do something with everything in their bones get to do it, because I know what it feels like to get to do that.
And one other statement, we have to thank the leadership of our state, whether they be the governor, lieutenant governor, the speaker. All of those guys across the street are doing a great job.
Yep.
It's a hard job to balance things. And we have to thank those people at the colleges, at the junior colleges. We have to thank them tremendously. They haven't given up on us. And I don't want y'all to give up on this state either. We have, everywhere we go, people want to talk to us about our state. We're in the spotlight.
Yep.
So let's shine. We are that shining light on the hill, as Reagan said. We are there. So let's just keep moving forward.
I agree.
And, I'm a product of the community college, community colleges. All 5 of my children went to community college. And then glad to say they all completed. And so we do have a very, very we have a great advantage over most states because of our community college systems. Our universities do great too, but our community colleges are amazing. And I know there's community college students in here. I went to Northeast, and so we always called it grades 13 and 14. because the teachers cared. Not to say university level they don't, but in community college, you're closer to the professor, you're closer to the industry, if you will, because a lot of them, I had one professor that really made an impression on me. He was doing it because it was a labor of love, and it was econ. So he gave me economics lessons that are still paying dividends today that I didn't get in four-year school because it was a job. And to your point, I think it is very important to have, and as students, you'll know those educators that are passionate about what they're doing. And I know that the electricity field, we have lineman schools, and I hadn't met a lineman instructor that's not passionate about what they're doing. And so it's a huge benefit to not only our students, but to our state, because they're going to turn out a better product at the end of the day if they love what they're doing. And I'll echo what Commissioner Carr said, that we do have a huge opportunity in Mississippi, and we're positioned in a really good spot. Commissioner Stamps and I were both in the House during, I served in the House for 12 years, and we were part of what they call the Mississippi Miracle. We endeavored to do something that had not been done, and people were dubious on how it would turn out. But now Mississippi is no longer last in education. Think about that a minute. Mississippi was always the brunt of every joke on education and everything else. We are no longer the brunt of the joke. As I go around, when people find out that I was in the legislature when that was passed and those reforms were enacted, they're like, how did you do it? And I'll say that it was a lot of resistance, because it's not the way we've always done things. Just throw money at it. That was the solution when I got here. Just throw money at it. Money will solve the problem. It won't solve the problem if you got the wrong, if you're going after the wrong solution. Yep. And so we changed the narrative, and the body across the street changed the narrative to outcome. And you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. So it's outcome based, because that's what benefits y'all as students. It's what you can do when you graduate. It's what you can do with that degree and that diploma when you get done. Just having credentials that are useless is not helping anybody.
Can you say that again? Can somebody turn on the recording device?
Oh, it's on. And so, it's exciting times. And again, it's transformative, not only in energy, but in education. And so it's exciting. I know it's hard for younger people to understand how far we've come as a state and where we're going. And it's very, very exciting. And with kids and grandkids coming up, I'm proud of Mississippi. Mississippi is on the move, and we're going to continue to climb thanks to your efforts and our community college and the transformation of where there's value. Where can you make money? And there is no shame, and I'll say that loud, there's no shame with working with your hands. Nope. It's imperative that we work with our hands. It's imperative that we build things. This building can never be built by AI. Our data centers will never be built by AI. You will never have to worry about being replaced by a computer or a robot if you're building something like this. So the future's bright thanks to these data points, and actually waking up and saying, hey, we can do better, just like with across the street. We were wailing and gnashing of teeth. People were like, you're going to destroy education, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. No, we want to empower teachers to teach. And we want to make sure that the students are getting the tools they need. And this is in my mind, this is the next. This is just doing the same thing in the community college level. Yep. It's those reforms that are going, again, met with a lot of resistance. Oh, that you're going to destroy it, we're going to overbuild, and all these things that kind of come out of it. But at the end of the day, if we build it, they will come. And our students and our state will be stronger at the end of it.
Just a couple more things, and I'll
Okay.
leave y'all to it. We'll fast forward to all this stuff. So, because y'all made some points that I was going to make, so it works for me. I think as I get really close to the end here, as we talk about it, and to echo some of the points that y'all just made, I think it's really important that we go back and remember that the things worth doing were really hard. They were completely unpopular. They did cost money, but it wasn't just throwing a bunch of money at everything. It was saying this is a targeted thing, targeted intervention. We're going to do this thing, and we're going to do it well, and then we're going to see what happens. And I hope that if we had figured out it didn't work, we would have stopped doing it. But we figured out it did work. So that's what we need. We need more of that. We need more clarity. We need more of those kinds of hard decisions. And frankly, just figuring it out and putting as much effort as we can behind it. So I appreciate the work you gentlemen do in having this session today, and happy to answer any more questions or anything. Yes, sir.
On the education system, this is not a short-term run. My understanding, this started back in around 2013, 15 is when we started moving. We were not quite happy as far as leadership of our state. So this is just not a short term.
Correct.
We're in the long haul. The race is to those that persevere. So here we are in 2025. In 2013, from graduation rate, we went from 74.5% in 2013. And in 2024, 25, we're at 90.8. We always have to strive to do better. So this is a long term. I say the leadership across the street, present, past, and the future. We all have a job to do. We're dependent on y'all. The coach on a team, as Commissioner Stamps has brought up so many times, about how you compare. Coaches lose games, players win games. Y'all have to help. Y'all the winners. Our future is in y'all.
Mike Rowe was ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, those of you that again, showing age, Mike Rowe had a show called Dirty Jobs, and he pretty much put a spotlight on how much money you can make doing what other people don't want to do or don't have the ability to do. So I think we're finally catching up with that, and I will say it was fun to be. It was an honor to be part of the Mississippi Miracle at the Capitol, and it's fun for us to continue that revolution, if you will, in this space to make sure Mississippi is better off because of us and with our efforts corporately together. And it is a team. So government can work, and we work hand in glove with one another, and that's what we endeavored to do, is that we just want to bring spotlight to it and encourage people watching and have a platform. That's what these summits are about. We set out these summits to educate not only us as new commissioners, but also the people listening. And we do have tens of hundreds of people watching. So anyway, but it's there for posterity, and so it is learning, and it is exciting times. And I didn't know what was in the big beautiful bill on the student funding side. That's going to be transformative too on the quality of graduates that we have and their prospects on earning a future and paying off that loan and having a well-paying job in the future. That's exciting. I didn't know that. So I learned a lot from the presentation. Thank you for what you're doing. And students, stay the course, because it's going to pay off, and it's going to be an exciting time. And you can look back and say, man, I was part of that. I contributed to that. You know, that data center that is going in, or that new facility that's built, and you got to wire it, or you got to do the pipe fitting. That's exciting, because creating something makes us it sparks a fire inside us. I was in manufacturing for a little bit, where I actually took raw materials, built a camper, 8 sheets of marine grade aluminum, laser cut it, press brake it, weld it all together. You have raw materials at one end, a finished product at the other. There's something satisfying in that. And so working with your hands is very satisfying. We need all the different disciplines, but it's exciting to know that we're streamlining into what's going to give you an opportunity to provide for you and your family. And then we're going to try to be a mentor in that, in this space, so it's exciting. Any questions, commissioners? Thank you so much, appreciate it. We did run over. I don't think we had any, Rachel, we had? Okay, do they? Sure, and they'll give the panelists time to set up.
Do 10 minutes.
Let's do, hey, Rachel, we're going to do 10 minutes. So we'll come back at 10:20. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Sorry, we're running a few minutes late. I'd like to welcome everyone back. Our next speaker is Patrick Sullivan, President of Mississippi Energy Institute and Chair of the State Workforce Development Board, Investment Board, excuse me. This morning, we'll discuss Patrick, got to get, just trying to get your bio, get you right. Since July 2011, Patrick Sullivan has served as president of the Mississippi Energy Institute, a private nonprofit business created to support research and energy policy to foster economic growth in Mississippi. Patrick currently serves as president of the Southeast Oil and Gas Association, which began operation in 2020. In May 2020, Patrick was appointed by Governor Reeves as chairman of the State Workforce Investment Board, created to be an advisory board for state workforce development strategy. Patrick also serves as chairman of the State Longitudinal Data System. Prior to his work at the Mississippi Energy Institute, Patrick served both as policy advisor and as executive director of recovery and renewal for Mississippi Governor Haley Barbour. Serving as policy advisor to Governor Barbour from 2006 to 11, he had oversight of issues pertaining to energy, transportation, environment, agriculture, natural resources, and economic development. In 2010, he was named executive director of the Governor's Office of Recovery and Renewal, which was the primary entity responsible for coordinating disaster assistance, overseeing state-level response and assistance to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, the April 2011 tornado disasters, and the 2011 Mississippi River flood. Patrick is a graduate of Mississippi State University, a Master of Agribusiness Management, and resides in Madison, Mississippi with wife Elizabeth and two sons, Garrett and Jake. Patrick, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So I guess I'm here wearing two hats. My hat with the Mississippi Energy Institute, which is my paying job, and then my role is in chairing the State Workforce Investment Board. I think in our role as State Workforce Investment Board, the single most important decision that we made is hiring Courtney Taylor. As you can see, she is doing a wonderful job for the state. Very proud of the efforts with that. I'm confident, and there's not a doubt in my mind that we've got the best workforce development lead of all the states in the nation. And I don't just say that. I think there's real evidence out there attracting attention to some of the things we're doing. And they're so, as you can hear what Courtney was saying, they are so just logical and commonsensical about our approach that we're taking to trying to fix and repair some of the deficiencies that we have in our workforce. We see our role, if it's not obvious from what Courtney was saying, as the catalyst injected into a system to try to make the necessary changes to improve the quality of our workforce. That's our problem. We have a workforce quality problem across the state. It's not, as Courtney said, it's not a lack of humans problem. It's a lack of quality problem, and that is fixable, and we are working on that. When the governor asked me to do this in 2020, the direction that he gave us is he said, I want you guys to work on things that bring income averages up in Mississippi. It was just that simple, but it was enough. And so that's exactly what we're doing, and I'm going to explain that. I do want to, I see some other students back here in the back. I see the front row guys here from Hines Electrical Program. Who are the students in the back? What's that?
West Jackson CDC.
Okay. Okay, is that a pathway to get into trades?
Career Development Center.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
This is West.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. And I mean, I think for all the students here, I mean, that's just the fact that you're here is a good sign about that you're on the right path and you've got ambition and forward thinking about what are the next right steps for you. I do want to engage the students. Commissioner Carr, you had asked a question earlier about what does it take to live? What is the living wage? I think the better question may be, how do you want to live for students? And students, I'm going to ask for a raise of hands. I'm going to give you 3 options. The options are, when you're out in the working world and on somebody's payroll or working for yourself, do you want to make below average pay? That's one option. Average pay or above average pay? Any below average pay? Who wants to be average? Who wants to be above average? Okay, so that is the issue. I think there is a fundamental issue about education policy, and from my work in this, we cannot have a conversation about workforce development policy without almost immediately getting into education policy. And so fundamentally, what these students want and expect is the public education system to get them in a position where they have a chance, and a really good chance, at earning above average wages and living the kind of life that they want to live. Not just an average life. I mean, you guys, as you get older and whatever's in front of you, you may want a house. You may want a certain kind of car or truck. You may want a boat. You may want to go on, I mean, there's all sorts of things that all of us want. And money is not the end to anything. But it is, especially when we talk about our work life, it is, I think we would all agree, it is a relevant issue. The problem that Courtney was trying was pointing out, and I will say it more directly again, we see our jobs as the people that need to talk straight. And we do have problems. The chief problem that I see in education, in our public education system, is there's way too much focus on institutions and not nearly enough focus, or hardly any focus, on student outcomes. The most important education success metric ought to be what happens to our students after they leave the public education system. I think, commissioners, one of you talked about, the guys across the street over here. And I think if we're going to be honest, we get into this time of year and, everybody's, exasperated and worn out from a lengthy session and debates and arguments and, all the things. And we pat, a lot of times we pat ourselves in the back and about how much money we're spending. That's not a success metric. I mean, that's an important detail, how much money we're spending in particular areas, but to what end? If we're spending, I saw a $26 million earmark through the community college board to high schools for CTE. I haven't heard anybody talk about to what end that is. That's great, but that's what it feels like we do. We go year after year in spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars through the education system without ever checking up and asking the question, is the education system supplying our economy what we need the education system to supply our economy with? And the answer is, it's not a total failure, but the answer is only about 40% in my assessment, of what our education system is producing, is what we would consider high-value products. And so, if it's okay, what I want to do, and I'm fine on being short on time. I think you'd probably be better off just letting Courtney stand up here and take my time. But I do want to get it into energy issues too, because that's what you guys are focused on. So kind of starting high level, and then, you know, working our way down into energy issues. And I'll share a little bit more data with you on the education issue, but, you know, the main points that I think, you know, we would emphasize, one, the education system is not adapted as economic demands have changed over time and things have become more specialized. Largely, the education system has not adapted to those changes and those specializations. The amount of money that we spend publicly and the degrees awarded, those are important metrics. But what we are encouraging, from our policymakers and from our counterparts at places like the IHL board and the community college board, and the business community. John McKay, he's on the state workforce board executive committee with us. We've talked about this a great deal over the last 5 years. There needs to be, in the business community, in the education community, in the policymaking community, there needs to be much more of an intense focus on the outcomes of education. We've got access to this data. Courtney shared some of it. I'll share some of it. We don't have enough people looking at the data. The data's not perfect, but it tells us a lot. When we just, in my view, when we start to look at the data, we start to see very obvious deficiencies.
Patrick, what do you attribute that to?
Laziness.
Hot seat. They're almost out of session, so are they funding you?
Well, I tell people this. I said there are, across the street on these other education boards, education leaders. I do think there's a very genuine interest in wanting to see things get better. I think the reason I say laziness is I think, unfortunately, too many of those people want somebody else to come up with the answer, and I think that's what we're suggesting is. One of you said it earlier, this can't happen overnight. The policy changes that were made back in 2013 did not happen overnight. So when you do major reform type efforts, you don't expect changes overnight, but you do, I think, to have effect, have to identify specific goals. And in the workforce space, we're talking about humans, right? And so these are not hard things to measure. If we need more electrical training program graduates, that is a very easy thing to measure. I mean, typically, I don't know what the data says. My guess is, statewide, the data says something like we put out about 150 of these guys a year, and at least for now, it needs to be more like 250. Those are attainable goals.
And Patrick, I think Courtney said it. We have to be honest. We got to be honest with the numbers. We got to be honest with the data. And I think that's what we're endeavoring to do here, is to bring agencies together to answer those questions and work hand in glove with everybody, bringing as many people to the table as we can too. Because we have a small microphone and a small platform to say the same things. And so we want, again, to bring attention to the need to try to make sure that we attack it corporately, and we do hopefully hit a home run like we did across the street in 2013. Have those reforms, and we look back and say, I remember when we got everybody together, even against a strong headwind, and we made the right policy decisions, and we're better off for it, and here's why. Mm-hmm. And so that's exciting. It's exciting times.
Yeah. I think to your point, it takes everybody, right? We're all in this together. Business people, regulatory people, policy people, educators. How do we come together. And on the State Workforce Board, ironically, we have all of these people. We've made, our statutory authority is to make recommendations. We have made recommendations. Our votes are unanimous. We've got the commissioner of IHL on our board. We've got the director of the community college system on our board. We've got a community college president on our board. We've got the state superintendent of education on our board. Our votes are unanimous. A lot of our votes are intended to compel action in those systems. We don't get action in those systems. And so there's, at some point, we've got to, and it's urgent, but develop a will to find better ways to do things. And again, it's not drastic, and it's not going to hurt anybody. The point of all of our recommendations is find ways to generate better student outcomes and increase the success of our education institutions. Courtney shared the data about average incomes associated with associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees and high school degrees. I think the numbers are terrible. I think our average, our median wage from bachelor's degrees ought to be a lot higher than it is. I think the average wage from 2-year degrees or 1-year degrees from our certificates from community colleges ought to be a lot higher than it is. And the reason it's not is because we've got large numbers of students in graduating with degrees that don't result in, that aren't valued by employers out there in the workforce. And so the tragedy of that is you've got thousands of students entering the workforce on an annual basis with a degree that they thought was going to help them get a job, and it doesn't. And so they look around, and it's not the student's fault. I'm sure they look around thinking, well, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I did everything that I was told to do. But because they have an English literature degree, I've never heard an employer say, hey, we just really need a good English lit major from Ole Miss. Or a psychology degree major from Jackson State. We are the honest part of it is we are oversupplying the labor market in all of these areas and undersupplying it in a lot of other different areas. Let me share a little bit of interesting data, and this kind of tracks with some of the things that Courtney was saying. But when we hear this information, I think the question, policymakers, education leaders, all of us, is what do we do with this information? So I pulled the data for high school graduates from the 2013 class to give them time to go through the education system and get out to the workforce. So those who went straight to work with no college today are averaging about 35. These are median wages. And so this is right in the middle. Half are making more, half are making less. $35,000 a year. Those who went to college but dropped out are only averaging about $32,000 a year, median wages. So half of those are making $32,000 or less. So in those two categories, we've already hit roughly about 2/3 of those graduates from that 2013 class, which would be 30,000, roughly 30,000 kids. So 20,000 of the 30,000 kids that didn't complete an education after high school have very, certainly there's some in there who have found a way to be successful, but the data clearly says that most aren't. For the ones who did complete a degree or certificate, community college grads averaging 43,000, university grads are averaging about 49,000, almost 49,000. Those numbers are a good bit better, but back to my point, they could be a good bit better. The policies that we have proposed are more policies that are focused on generating a higher return on investment in terms of student outcomes. So if you want to really get down to it in the education system, especially on the post-secondary side, the problem is we're getting what we're paying for. We're paying just to generate degrees without any emphasis on whether the degree is in demand or high quality or something else. we think, and there's movements happening in pockets around the nation, we think the opportunity for Mississippi is to figure out ways, again, taking a reasonable, realistic approach to start to transition to a way where more public dollars are encouraging more students to enter the higher return on investment pathways, and the ones that are going to work out better for the students anyway.
Do you foresee that the K-12 will do some trade school training?
Yeah, so that's a related. There's problems there too. Again, we see our role.
That's twice you turned red, sorry.
So I mean, let me ask the room or ask you guys. So we've got career technical education in high school. What's the purpose of career technical education in high school?
Well, when I was in school, is to train those technical jobs.
To what end?
Good question.
Like, I mean, I think the assumption is like lay people like us would say, for the purpose of encouraging. I mean, certainly not all of them are going to go into that pathway. Just say it's a construction pathway, encouraging whether that student chooses to go into the workforce after high school or continue their education at a college or a university.
And just to add color to that, to Courtney's point, you know, that was kind of looked down upon even when I was in school, right? If you went to those programs, then you weren't smart enough, and that was the stigma around it, the social stigma. But that's what we have to try to erase too. Is, and what Courtney spoke to, is that there's no stigma of making $107,000 as an electrician, when a college degree, so a lot of those are making an average of 49. So if I can be an electrician at a trade school and make $106,000 a year versus going to school for 4 years and get a degree that I'm only making $49,000 a year, who won? You know, in the dollar race or the education race, if you will.
Yeah. That's what I think generally the purpose of CTE in high school is to be a mechanism to funnel students, you know, get students started on a high value pathway and funnel them all the way into the workforce, whether they continue their education. And largely that's not happening. That's what we've got to be honest about. Like how do we get that to happen? Not for 15% of the students that go through it, but for, I don't know, what's more realistic? 40%, you know, something higher number where CTE in high school now becomes not something that high school and school districts across the state use to check a box for the accountability funding formula to make the people in the Capitol across the street happy, but something that actually effectively helps students and gives students something in hand of value that they can take into the workforce or continue their education. And be a step ahead when they leave high school. You know, I think we could continue that conversation. I want to get into the energy space a little bit. You know, I think the point has been well made. Utility segment, generally the energy sector as a whole, is a high value sector. Generally, I mean, I tell these students across the board in the energy sector, average wages are 2 to 3 times the private sector average. In Mississippi, much of that is utilities. You know, the majority of it is utilities. We do have some oil and gas exploration activity, but the biggest part of the energy sector in Mississippi is electric utilities and natural gas utilities. Energy sector in Mississippi makes up, you know, roughly about 10% of GDP, but only about 2% of the workforce. And so, you know, what that says is that energy obviously is a high-value sector that punches well above its weight. I think the right way to look at the job situation in the energy sector is not on a company-by-company basis, but on a labor market basis. You know, take electric utilities or natural gas utilities. There may be 15,000 people total that work in transmission and distribution across the state. Less than 10% of those are going to work for energy. Probably less than 5% of those are going to work for Mississippi Power. So you've got a whole host of vendors and contractors. And that is the labor market that, electrical students or utility linemen will be entering into. So it may not be, not everybody goes to work for the big power utility. I think it's common that energy, as an example, is a great employer for people to work in. I think they typically would hire, not to say that they don't hire people straight out of school, but it's more common that they may hire people with more experience. So a lot of the people that are graduating from a utility lineman program at a community college, it may be more common for them to go to work for a contractor or for a cooperative. Just a little bit of information on utility linemen. There is data that we can find that kind of that will show the labor market situation. And this is several years old, and so with everything that's happened in the data center space and with electricity demand, which I'm about to get into, I think these numbers would even be higher. And I think, again, to look at it not just in Mississippi, but look at it in the labor market, which is the Southeast that we participate in, there may be some 15,000 utility linemen employed today in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas. What the data suggests is here in just a few years, about 35% of those are going to be eligible for retirement. And it's the same as you look down to control and valve installers, industrial machinery mechanics, power distributors and dispatchers, electrical engineers. It's pretty common, 30 to 35%. In the case of engineers, 50%. We're expected of that workforce is at least eligible to retire here within the next 5 years. The question is who's looking at this data? This is the labor market. This is not just our utility companies, but this is the labor market that we depend on to construct all of this activity that we have going on. As you guys know it better than anybody else in the room, but some $1 billion that energy alone is putting into adding, increasing storm resiliency into their system, updating their grid, making it stronger. 3 power plants in Greenville, Vicksburg, and Ridgeland, and something that 10 years ago we just never would have imagined. And I think there's been, I'll close with this, and this is another conversation. There are, and this is nationally with everything happening in data and in AI and growth in electricity demand, which, by the way, is expected. Some are projecting nationally electricity demand will increase by 40% here in the next 10 years. To put that in perspective, from 2000 to 2020, electricity consumption only increased 11% nationally. In Mississippi, it was only about half that, like 6%. And so the growth in electricity demand at this rate is something, Commissioner, you were making the point, something that we've never seen before. It creates real challenges, real opportunities. And you've got critics out there who claim that data centers absolutely result in increases for power bills for everybody. I think it's the opposite, and I think the large, consistent load industrial users are exactly what our electric system needed to stabilize rates. I think for people who claim that large new users like AWS here in Madison County and Warren County may drive up rates are completely ignoring the path that we were on. The path that we were on was relatively stagnant growth in electricity consumption with the same number of customers, which is all of us. And the combination of those two things, without a growing customer base, as costs are going up over the years, and eventually as plants are needing to be replaced, like the one in Greenville, that's where I grew up. That plant's been there longer. I'm 48. It's older than I am. We were all going to have to replace it at some point. Now we've got the help of a giant new customer like AWS to help us pay the cost of it. Same with the plant in Vicksburg. And so, yeah, I think, I mean, you guys are closer to it, but helping tell the story that not only is this creating opportunities for young people in our workforce, and as Courtney made the point, especially in the construction space, is all this massive amount of construction activities creating opportunities, but it's also good for, good for all the rest of us as it helps stabilize the cost of the electric grid and spread the cost, the fixed cost of the grid over a larger customer base. And so I think the activity forward is, if we think this is going to happen for, at least another 10 years or so, how do we think proactively from a policy perspective as a state, and how do we smart, how do we, the way we would have permitted and thought about adding capacity to the grid even just 10 years ago may not be the process that we would use today. So how do we be proactive? How can Mississippi set itself apart and be in a place to encourage innovative approaches to more investment in electricity capacity, but also do it in a way that that attracts industry, but protects incumbent utilities and, importantly, the customers of incumbent utilities in the state. So I'll stop there, and I'm at the end of my time. And
So you mentioned power plants. We're looking in our state, it's been signed off, 3 new power plants. There's 2, and then they did might as well say a refurb on 1, but that's 3 new power plants. Now they'll come online in 3 to 5 years. And that's not it. We've already ordered another generator for one of our utility companies. We have also, we're in the process of, Entergy is, of an expansion on our nuclear facility. They see, the engineers see the growth coming. It's coming. So there's a program now that's being activated that people are, energy companies throughout the country that are looking at reconducting these transmission lines, where we can use the right-of-ways and the structures and everything, so we stop that process. Environmentalists, whatever their concerns are, we're going to use the same existing lines, but we're going to reconduct them. So there's a lot of opportunities there, and we're short across the board with that workforce. If people just do a little bit of research. I'm not a genius, and I've done a little bit of research. We're behind, as they say, we're behind the 8 ball. We're trying to play catch up. It's just not Mississippi. It's throughout this country. And it's across many avenues when it comes to blue-collar workers where we're short at. One of the things that I have friends, engineers, that, in a sector that people need to look at too, what is very valuable to the construction is surveyors. Engineers rely on surveyors. They tell me 1 passed the test last year. It's a very hard test. Technology, they use instruments now that work off of satellites. It's not like when I was in school, I worked with a surveyor, and we did the old chain measuring tape, cutting through bushes. It's not like that now. They're working off from satellite. So we're combining technology with, blue-collar workers. There's lots of opportunities. If you see something and it's not, you don't think you're gonna like it, look somewhere else. There's opportunities there in this blue collar work. You go back. One other thing, I noticed that you said that, or in your paperwork, Masters of Ag Business. So you studied agriculture. I listened to a guy on, podcast, YouTube. He's a dairy farmer. I think he's in Iowa. He said our agriculture business, it's not they are failing, but it's not from trying. There's obstacles that the government is not listening to these people. They're speaking loudly. They're just not being heard. It's time that I challenge our leadership in our state to listen and be very concerned about what people are saying. In the construction industry where I'm from, when you go to the counter in the morning, you order your material, I see no new faces. They're all people my age, 66 and retiring, fixing to get out. I ran for this position for a lot of reasons. One reason is to bring focus to that we need our young people to get into the game with us. Before we get too old, we can't remember what we had for lunch or what we had for breakfast. It happens to everyone. I worked with a gentleman when I was a teenager, Mr. Bill Woodcock, super nice guy, very down to earth, taught from experience. He was a master carpenter. He taught so many things that moved forward as I transitioned from wanting to be a carpenter to being an electrician. Then I used those same things that he taught me. One was hard work and stay focused. He was very adamant about staying focused. If you're not, you're going to get someone hurt. And it's just that we need to, while this experience is here, not just here, but out there in that workforce, there's a lot of men that want, or women, that want to give that to you. It's our job. It was given to us. We want to give it to y'all. And I just want people to start working together. We have to. These two gentlemen here, they worked in it. They listened when they were over there across the street. And I'm not saying they're listening, but I think we need to start paying attention more and take it for where we're at a spot right now. We should have been paying attention 20 years ago.
Well, we'll continue to beat the drum, but I would encourage you guys to share with your colleagues. Your colleagues across the street need to be doing what you're doing here.
And that's what made us want to do this, again, is to bring in education's knowledge is power. And so we want to make sure that everybody hears it in our platforms, to make sure everybody hears the need and the opportunity. Because it is transformative times in the state of Mississippi and in the nation and in the world. If we get it right, if we get this combination, especially in energy, if we get energy right, then we'll dominate the world. If we get it wrong, we'll be like Germany. Germany has the second highest per kilowatt hour cost of energy than any nation in the world. They made bad policy decisions that carried them down the wrong path, and now they're losing their industrial base.
They're paying $9 a gallon for gasoline.
Exactly. And now, of course, Mercedes are built in Alabama, BMWs in South Carolina, and Volkswagens in Tennessee. So the decisions we make today, and we've already pointed out, they won't bear fruit, both bad or good, for 5-10 years. So what we're doing now is to bring it to the forefront. This is where we got to go corporately together, not only in energy and how we generate it, but the workforce it's going to take to build the infrastructure and to supply that need. But again, with y'all's efforts and what we're talking about today, Mississippi, we've proven that Mississippians, our people, are our secret weapon. And if we give them the tools and we give the mentor and we do it right, our business community, with our legislators, with our educators, with everybody comes together, with our students, all in one common goal for a better future, I think we can achieve it. And this is, again, just a beat the drum to say, hey, we're all on the same page. Let's get a game plan.
let's execute the plan. If we build it, they'll come. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Thank you, Patrick. So next, we're going to our panel discussions. I noticed Case Knight was in the room with TVA. I kind of threw him on the spot, see if he wanted to join the panel, but he may or may not. Yeah, I think he's, okay. No worries. I didn't have your bio anyway, so I was going to make up a bunch of stuff because I know you. So on our panel, I'd like to welcome Dr. Valeria Williams. She's Director of Career and Technical Education for Mississippi Community College Board. Dr. Williams is an experienced career and technical education leader and scholar with over 15 years of experience advancing workforce development and educational excellence. She currently serves as Director of Career and Technical Education at the Mississippi Community College Board, where she leads strategic planning, program development, and compliance guidance across the state's 15 community colleges. Her expertise includes Perkins and civil rights compliance, employee relations, training and development, and change leadership. Dr. Williams is passionate about creating equitable access to career opportunities and empowering students to succeed in a rapidly evolving workforce. We also have John McKay. He's president and CEO of Mississippi Business Alliance. John McKay is the president, which is the state's chamber of commerce and largest, most influential voice of Mississippi's business community. The MSMBA was created in 2006 by merging the Mississippi Manufacturers Association and the Mississippi Economic Council and the Business Industrial Political Education Committee. Prior to the merger, John spent nearly 2 decades at MMA, including 5 years as president and CEO. During that time, he led the fight to reduce or eliminate burdensome taxes and regulations, developed and helped pass sweeping workforce development initiatives, supported increased funding for critical infrastructure, and advanced and advocated for economic development incentives to grow jobs in the state. John holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Mississippi, hotty toddy, and a double major in political science and English. And he was a Master of Public Administration degree from the College of Charleston. John is also a graduate of the University of Oklahoma's Economic Development Institute in Norman, Oklahoma, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Institute for Organizational Management. Last but not least, we have Lisa Campbell, Program Manager for Energy Education and Energy Workforce at the Mississippi Development Authority, Energy and Natural Resources Division. Ms. Campbell serves as the Energy Secretary Program Lead at the Mississippi Development Authority, where she guided the redevelopment of Mississippi State Energy Security Plan to meet rigorous federal cyber physical standards. Her leadership has enhanced nationwide emergency preparedness, fostered collaboration among key agencies, and earned national recognition. Since joining MDA in 2003, she has also championed energy education and workforce development. Governor Reeves honored Lisa Campbell of the Mississippi Development Authority with the 2025 Excellence in Government Award. The foundation of these awards is to encourage the development and innovative systems of public administration. Campbell is a graduate of Mississippi Valley State University and Jackson State University, and a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Again, welcome to the panel. Thank y'all so much for giving your time, and we look forward to learning from y'all and educating those that are listening and in the audience. Dr. Williams, so we'll begin. Thank you for our panelists Just trying to, this is the first time we've had a panel, so we're working through it. So we're excited about the dialogue and information that we'll get. So I guess we'll start from the right to the left, if you want to introduce John.
Sure. You want me to just kind of start in on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, I mean, thank you, commissioners, for having us. You heard a little bit about my background, and so I had the pleasure of working with Commissioner Stamps and Brown in the legislature, wearing my Manufacturers Association hat, and it was, still is the honor of my life to advocate on such a strong sector for Mississippi's economy. And I know that we focus heavily in this room on energy, but manufacturing and energy are really one and the same. The skill set that you're looking at as far as the future workforce, those are all vital. And so working on those issues over the last 18 to 20 years has been something that I've really enjoyed and I take pride in. And the workforce space is really, when I go and visit a manufacturer, or really any business owner in the state of Mississippi, workforce is always the first and last thing we talk about. It is the thing that drives them. It's what keeps them up at night. It's what really differentiates success from failure. So this is a space I'm pretty passionate about. Patrick is the chairman of the State Workforce Investment Board, and I was appointed by the governor to be vice chair of that group. And from that space, as well as the space advocating for my members, which are businesses all across the state, it really becomes clear how important this is. And so really everything that Courtney and Patrick said, I would just say ditto to all of that. But a few of the things that I wanted to touch on were specific in especially advanced manufacturing and the utility space. And there was a point, and we kind of glossed over it, but I think it's really, really important. When Courtney was talking about the integration of technology, and specifically she talked about AI, but I would say technology writ large. The integration of those skills into all of our curriculum, that's the key. We don't need new degree programs or certifications to have somebody just learn about AI. That's not really going to benefit them in the workforce. So when you're talking about industrial maintenance technicians, for instance, these are folks that, back 20 years ago, you might need a whole host of these people on the shop floor running around. Now you need one person to be focused on some critical infrastructure in the plant, and they need to have the skill set to do all of that themselves. Maybe one or two people where you used to need 10. So again, it's the getting the programs to change and modify how they teach those skills. That's going to be critical. So obviously the integration of robotics and AI technology into all of these skills, that's the key. And so you heard Patrick kind of talk about the systems, and as we recruit young people to these programs, we need to make sure that our education system understands what the employment fields look like today. We don't need to be training for the jobs 20 years ago. So that's where I really challenge my people. So my membership, again, stretches all across the economy. They have to engage. So the old model was we sit back and we wait for the educational systems to pump out the product. So young people, even people needing to go back and reskill, they get out of an educational institution and they're ready, and we pick them out and we put them to work. That doesn't work anymore. You've got to be a partner to these educational systems. You've got to be very clear and direct about what specific skills you're looking for and how those are going to be integrated. And you have to be a partner in that effort. So it's no longer sitting on the sidelines. You've got to engage through Accelerate Mississippi, through your high school, your community college. You really have to be very direct, and it really helps when you have the full ecosystem in your area working together. So, you have employers across the spectrum all at the same table describing what they need, and you're gonna hear everything from the soft skills of Young people need to be able to know how to show up to work on time every day, come back after lunch, look people in the eye, learn how to work in teams. Those are all critical skills. That's a pretty low bar in my opinion. We've got to be teaching those things, but then the actual skills, the day-to-day skills you're going to require every day, that's really where we need to push. We can't allow the systems to just keep producing things that aren't going to translate into the skills that our employers need. So that's just kind of a quick snapshot of the way I view things and the way I push from my vantage point from the employer side to, again, push my people to get to the table, because it's not on other people to do that job, but also if I can use my voice to impact both the educational systems and what they're producing, but also policymakers. That's something that, and y'all know because y'all been in the system, y'all see how it works at the Capitol. It's a lot easier to just look at the number that we did last year and maybe plus it up or minus it down a little bit here and there. That's not what we need. We need to take a comprehensive look from the policy side. What do we need more of? That's what we're going to fund. The stuff that isn't important and doesn't move the needle, we need to pull that back. And that's not to say that an educational institution can't do those things. Like, if you think XYZ program is vital and important to your institution, great, do that. But don't spend the state resources to do that. Either use tuition or your institution's funding. That's fine. We're not going to dictate what a program should be, but we need to be very intentional in driving what we want more of. So I'll stop there.
So to kind of, again, hover over that for a minute. So the discussion is basically what IHL wants to do and what the business community thinks they need to do? Is that the biggest discussion right now?
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. And really, I will say this in fairness to everybody involved in this equation. They don't speak the same language. Education and industry don't communicate the same way. So even sometimes when they're in the same room talking, they might hear different things. And so it requires a constant stream of communication, reevaluation. For instance, I'm on the advisory board for the Center for Manufacturing Excellence at Ole Miss. And we have a lot of these specialized programs. CAVS at Mississippi State is a great example. Polymers Institute at Southern Miss. These are all great programs. But if it weren't for that type of advisory board made up of all private sector folks, they would have gone down the wrong path years and years ago. But because of those kind of conversations that happen at least 2 or 3 times a year around a table in a room, we're able to craft how they integrate the newest technologies and integrate the newest skill sets and really provide that value to industry. So that's what we need more of.
More real time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Commissioner Stamps?
I think we got several conversations happening in this room today, and I don't want to miss anybody in the room. We got some young folks that are in this room that may be in class tomorrow, and they won't be talking policy.
Right.
Let's hone in on the young folks who are here and connect them with the opportunities that are here. And they should be focused on, because I don't want them to drift off and get lost in Instagram over there. I want them to really connect in this moment to the opportunities that are in front of them. So let's kind of steer a little bit towards that. We'll get back to the policy part.
Absolutely.
Next,
This is a general statement.
No, I understand. Yeah, totally.
it's not scolding. Next, we have Dr. Williams.
All right,
Thanks for being here.
good morning. Thank you for the invitation. So I'm super excited about this and to talk to the students, as we just referred, to talk to the students and add on to the policy as well as what some of the things that Mr. McKay was saying, and not to keep calling Courtney's name, but to add on. See, that's what happens when I mention Courtney's name. But my role at the Mississippi Community College Board is I serve as the Director of Career and Technical Education. A lot of the things that I see involve the programmatic piece. So I'm working directly with the CTE directors and a little bit with the instructors. But the work that I do impacts directly the students who are involved, right? So the programs that we offer assist those students in getting into college and getting into their career. So with least resistance as possible. So the program offerings that we have are based on the needs of the community colleges in those particular areas. So what is of need in Coahoma County at Coahoma Community College in the Delta may be vastly different from what's needed at Mississippi Gulf Coast. So what we are doing, and one of the great things that Accelerate Mississippi has are those career coaches who are working with the students on the high school level to find out what their interests are. So when the students complete those programs in high school, they know exactly what they want to do when they come into a community college setting, which means that they are more likely to persist to completion. We are not getting students in after a semester or getting students in and getting them into programs that are of no interest to them. So in order for us to develop the programs, and this is both on policy side and with the students, we work with business and industry to find out what's relevant to them. So the curriculum is based on the needs of the people who are going to hire our students. So the needs of them, what type of equipment are they working on? That is written into the curriculum document. So when the students come in, they are guaranteed to be in a course, in a classroom, working on the material that they also will be working on once they go into employment. Advisory boards, as Mr. McKay mentioned, industry sits on every advisory board for every program that we offer at a community college. We also have students that are part of those advisory boards. So they are being able to have their voice heard when they speak with industry. These are the things that's happening in our classroom. What is it that you're offering at your place of employment? So they can talk about the soft skills. They can talk about all of these things. Once they leave we also have work-based learning opportunities where our students come into our programs. They're not just getting theory. So they also get hands-on skills, trades, and they're able to translate that into those places of employment, and it is counted as a part of their coursework. So we look at the total student. We have resources that are available to our students. We have student services coordinators who are in line with what Accelerate Mississippi has for their career coaches, where they help guide them through not only their classwork, but help them with those non-academic things, providing resources to them. We have a lot of non-trad students that have been in the workforce and that are coming back, so they're not the traditional straight from high school students. Help them with childcare, transportation, resources that normally serve as a barrier for students that are coming into the programs. So we try to look at the entire student, find out what their needs are, provide those things for them, connect them with business and industry so that they are not graduating with a certificate or a degree and have nothing to do. So we try to get them into wherever they say their needs are, connect them with business and industry so that they can find employment. And that's my role in a nutshell.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Now we have, you want to have any questions there? Okay, we're moving on. Ms. Campbell?
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you again for having me, and thank you for the invitation. I'm ecstatic to stand here before you today in your presence as well as the presence of these students. You are very much the reason that we get up and go to work every day. We don't just think about our employees here, but we think about our students, our citizens across the state, our constituents for the betterment of our state. Every day, please know that MDA, we show up not just to bring you a job, but we want to make sure that our students in the existing workforce are prepared for these new emerging jobs in technology and advancement. Mississippi is known for moving through our sheer determination of skill and grit. And it's that same energy that we need today to prepare ourselves for the changing energy that's on the horizon. We are so ecstatic about the new types of clean technologies, energy technologies that are present here today, but we're more proud of how we are investing into that future. I'm an MDA, we're a state agency. We're not in competition with MEI or Mississippi Accelerate. We're in partnership with them. We want to make sure that we know that the people in Mississippi are our best and biggest commodity. We're trying to make sure that we come to the table together and that we're able to engage them and help all of us move into the future. We do things every day thinking about you. One of the unique partnerships, and you mentioned students, I just want to mention since they're here. 2019, Entergy started a program to support our energy academies. They're located in Vicksburg and Port Gibson. In their own backyards, they were thinking about how they needed to prepare students for the workforce. As a private company, they're investing over $300,000 a year into these two school districts to make sure that that we understand what those needs are in the industry and that we're preparing the students. So not only are they putting their money where their mouths are, the resources and programs that our office have invested in over the years, they're the backbone of these programs. So the National Energy Education Development Project, which MDA has been a part of since its early existence in 1987, this is a comprehensive energy education project that it trains our teachers. We want to equip our teachers with updated information, you know, because energy usage and consumption, it changes. It changes day to day, year to year. The sources that we use, all have changed. It has diversified. So what that program does, it correlates it to the science standards that the teachers can use it in the classroom. And we feel like if we can invest that kind of information in the teacher, when teachers find information that's a good go-to tool, they're going to pick it up and they're going to use it. It's small miniature science laboratory brought to the students across the state. We've trained thousands of teachers with this. That is the same program that is the backbone of the Department of Education's energy curriculum, as well as the one that we partner with Mississippi State University. That was in 2023. It was accepted and adopted. It is these kind of collaborations that is moving the needle here in our state. Can we do more? Of course. Do we need to do more? Of course. What incentivizes people more than anything? Money, the same thing that incentivizes us. We have to be willing to invest in our workers and our students, and to not just to prepare them, but a lot of them to train and reskill them. In our office as well, we have a building operations certification project. We piloted last year. It's officially out the gate this year, about $140,000 investment, where we're looking at existing people that are already in the energy workforce, that are your maintenance mans, your AVAC mans, working in public buildings. We're telling them, come get these certifications, because just as energy is changing, more efficiency standards are being raised. We want to make sure that we're keeping their skills up. And that's an investment that we do, and it is free for them to come to these services. So I think we have to think outside the box and make sure that we're putting our power jointly in with our existing community colleges. Who best can move a program in our state as quick and workforce ready as they can? They give you quick turnaround time, they work with industry, they talk and they deliver. And those are the type of things that we need to keep harnessing on, because it is us and our people that's going to make a difference for these new challenges that are on the horizon.
Thank you. So, commissioners, questions?
This
Mr.
is
Carr.
for anyone that wants to answer. If you could change one thing in the education system to better support our state, our industries, either present or future, what's the one thing?
I'll jump in. I do think that, and this kind of goes on the policy and the practical, I think we need to focus a lot more on experiential learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to encompass both at the CTE level and high school. You know, we kind of, Patrick touched on it earlier, and I think those programs are valuable. I think we need to focus those activities into the highest value tracks, and I know that the work through Accelerate Mississippi is doing that. But internships and apprenticeships and that model, both at the high school level and at the community college level, to allow students to get real-world experience, whether it's an internship or an apprenticeship that would be both school and work-based learning all together. To me, that's the clearest path forward because it develops those skills in real time. It provides the classroom learning. And realistically, what you want after that pipeline is the job is there. I mean, it's literally guaranteed to put more focus and energy into that space. And Dr. Williams touched on it. I know all of our educational partners are wanting to do more of that. But to connect the dots with our career coaches, the community colleges, and industry to allow these students who might be interested in those pathways to know that those opportunities exist. We need to have a statewide database of those opportunities that say, you know, every summer or every semester there are 5 spots at this company just waiting to be filled for a young person to get that experience, which I think is so critical for several reasons. Number one, it helps them know that that's the path they want to continue on. If you can go ahead and make that change early in your schooling or your career, you can get on a better path that's going to make you happier and more productive. That's a win for everybody. Again, it's sort of like the student that goes to college for a semester or two and then drops out because they just don't, it's not for them. They don't see a path for them. It's the same way in the workforce. So that experiential learning piece, we need to really focus and beef that up. And we can do that just with general knowledge. We could do it with funding. There's a lot of ways we can make that a better process for young people.
And one of the things that I've always said to our CTE directors is we do wonderful work in the community college system, and we are our own best kept secret. We don't do a good job of telling our story. So some of the things that you were just mentioning about the experiential learning piece, it is embedded into every one of our community college programs on the CTE side where they have work-based learning. That is a component. So the students are getting that. Atmos Energy just partnered with some of our community colleges, specifically Coahoma Community College and Mississippi Delta, to increase the number of individuals who can come to Atmos to work. So a part of their plan with the community colleges is to get a certain number of those students, show them and involve them in the training process that they will take them to Plano, Texas, to their substation there. So they will get the training needed for a certain number of spots that they will have. But how many people have even heard that Atmos is doing that, right? So it is about us doing the proper messaging, and I agree, starting in the high school level, getting the career coaches, connecting those individuals with our student services coordinators on the community college side, introducing these individuals to the career paths that exist for them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It is there. The process and the plan works. We just need to do a better job of expanding that information, getting the proper resources to the students in order for those students to take advantage of the opportunities that already exist. We need to do more to ensure that our communities are work ready. Businesses want to come, but we have to make sure that we have people that are ready for the jobs that are coming. So if we start on the elementary, even at that point, introducing careers to them so that they know that career technical education that's not an ugly word, that's not an ugly term. It is beneficial to them. You have viable careers that are in the skills trade, and it's not because they can't do the work at a 4-year, is because they don't choose to. And so students shouldn't be faced with the stigma of wanting to go into this particular career field, but someone's going to say something because I didn't attend a university. If that is what their drive is and that's where their passions lie, that's what we need to encourage them to do. Showing them the money as to what they can do on a shorter time, going in for 2 semesters and 3 semesters and coming out making $60,000 versus being in a semester at a university and over those 2 semesters you owe $60,000. The math, as the kids say, the math ain't mathin'. So if they are presented with these opportunities and show them what the numbers are, show them the actual careers that exist in those areas, because taking this class in automation means nothing. But if you show them what that career leads to, you're gaming. Those are careers that are valuable and viable for those students who have an interest in creating games. So we have to show them what careers exist with these particular courses. We're talking about programs, but if we talk to them about the career that exists within that, it'll make it more plain to them, and I think that will encourage their interest to go into career tech programs.
Well, I do know a lot of, being a father, I know I have 5 different examples. Some excel at school and testing, and some don't. But there's a friend of mine has a son that is very, very intelligent, but is awful at school. He can build anything. He's 10 years old, and he can take a whole pile of Legos and build amazing things out of it. But he's making D's in school and glad to be getting D's and C's. So I know there's a number of students out there that are kind of in that category. They don't like school, but they're very, very intelligent and smart. Is there a way, obviously apprenticeships is what comes to mind then, to be able to work with somebody on the job with their hands, and less books and less paperwork and less books, but more on the job, with their hands on it, working with an apprentice? Is that something that is available or looking at? Because I do think we will lose a lot of students based on those things. They just do not like the idea of going to college. But we need to capture them with a trade that they're going to be very good at and smart at. And again, it's that speaking to the students where they're at sometimes. Anybody can add, sorry.
Well, yeah, I'll jump in that just because it's very timely, because some legislation just got passed this session that actually establishes a state office of apprenticeship. And that's not a super novel idea. There's other states that do this. So apprenticeships are typically governed at the Department of Labor at the federal level. And you essentially, as an employer, you work with the Department of Labor to set up a formal apprenticeship program. We wanted to offer that avenue at the state level for a variety of reasons, but mainly to make it easier and more appealing to Mississippi employers to say, hey, that's something that I'm interested in. Department of Labor kind of scares me. There's a lot of red tape. You're a federal agency. There's all sorts of paperwork and all that. So we want to maybe simplify that process, identify more of those opportunities in communities all over the state, and have more of those apprenticeship opportunities, because you're exactly right. And it kind of goes back to that point of, if you can take somebody who is not academically inclined for whatever reason, but they have skills, they have ambition, they have drive, and attach them to one of those opportunities at a work-based location, at the end of the day, a credential or a degree, it doesn't really matter if you're successful in the field that excites you and provides for you and your family. To me, that's a win for everybody. And so opening that door so that companies can say, hey, that's something that we would be interested in. We're having trouble filling these positions, so let's get young people in the door early, connect them with a mentor who might have a little gray in their hair, who's on the tail end of their career. And those folks are going to be rapidly leaving the workforce. If we can impart some of that wisdom on a younger person, have them get those skills in real time on the shop floor, I mean, that's really powerful and could move the needle. And so you kind of combine all of those things with your traditional academic pathways, this work-based learning pathway, but you also need to track all of that. It's all about those outcomes-based metrics, and we should see that roll up into numbers. And so that's what I'm really excited about, having that at the state level.
I think it's very innovative, and I know a lot of students listening are perked up when they realize you don't have to go sit in a classroom literally for 2 years or 4 semesters to try to get a certificate. But if you can do on-the-job training, and I've had people go through programs, nothing against our certificate programs, but they'll go through programs, but they learn everything they need to know in their job, as a job, in their clinicals. So this is specifically speaking in the medical, they learn most of everything they need in their clinicals, not necessarily in the classroom. So I'm not belittling the classroom, but sometimes we lose students an opportunity if we force them into the classroom in less time than apprenticeship. So appreciate y'all working on that.
I think it would be also important if we get this stuff in front of the students earlier, more so than later. We discovered a few years ago, because our philosophy is we're going to do energy education from the cradle to the grave. It was alarming to me to learn that we start to introduce students to actually a science class, fourth grade, that it was not just a part of general education prior to then. You introduce them in science in fourth grade, then in fifth grade, you give them a standardized test. So it is important that we start as early as possible. Now, our office has changed over the 23 years I've been there, but when I first came out, when I was doing strictly education, I did everything from puppet shows with awful lot, turning things awful lot, to energy awareness days, events where we brought in industries to highlight different careers and sectors to show these to students. Now, hindsight, these years later, we're redoing what we're doing. We look for anything that says the word STEM, anything that encourages girls to go into energy and power. We look for, we support the Science Bowl here, the middle school Science Bowl and the high school Science Bowl. We know in our state we love football. We all about the sports, but we have to do the same for about academics, especially in the area of energy, because it's so important. That's the Science Bowl is a challenge expo that's all about mathematics and science. We have some of the best and the brightest students that have, from 2007, traveled across the state, come to our only Mississippi School of Mathematics and Science and compete. Our students a few years ago were in the top 15, the team that we sent, and I don't want to speak you, they were from Oxford or Ocean Spring, forgive me if I have it wrong, but they were top 15, competing against students, thousands of students from all over the country. Not only did that plant a seed over the years, but our teacher from Ocean Springs, she was so good at this that Department of Energy hired her as and gave her a fellowship. She has almost tripled her salary aiding with this program. These are the type of inventive ways that we need to think of embedding and putting energy in front of our students, in front of our everyday constituents, because it is a vital part of life. And we all know that these education campaigns or literacy campaigns, they're effective, they work. How many of us cannot remember the late First Lady Fordyce saying, "I'm not your mama, pick up the trash"? How many of us do not remember about buckle up, or whether it's the bear talking about forest fire? We have to do that same as it comes to energy. We have to be resilient about it as early as we can, start it, so that we don't just deter you. I worked for Governor Barber years ago, and I remember they were working on a project with the CDC, and they were in the trenches of the project. I didn't work on it, but one of the things he said for us, let's not forget that Bubba needs a job too. We want to leave no Mississippian behind, but we don't want to set our children up to thinking that, hey, get to a junior college and take 2 years and you won and done. I need you to think that mathematics and science, there's no way of getting around it. Because if you show up at a junior college and you want to be a lineman, you have to be able to pass that assessment test. That's basic mathematics in there that they need. So yes, we need something for all. We need to make sure it's even playing a ground for those who are well advanced, because as we've stated, the energy sector just not started being diverse. It's always been diverse. I like to say I need as many sheet metal cutters and linemen and welders as we need HR professionals, as we need marketing people, as we need plant managers and technicians. So it's not a one shop fit all, but it has to be an even playing field so everybody has a seat at the table.
So one of the, to ensure that everyone has a seat at the table, we do have multiple exit points for our students who come into the community college. Because again, as you just stated, not everyone fits into the same box. So what do we have for those students? We have a 30-hour certificate is our career certificate for our students. They come in 2 semesters, and they are primarily working on trades. So they're coming in to learn how to operate the equipment, to do the task that they would be doing with their employer. An extra 15 hours. It's a technical certificate, which is 45 hours. So with that, they're still working on it. The academic piece comes when they are attempting at the AAS degree. So we have multiple exit points for those students so they can come in, learn the trade that's needed. And most of our students are working while they're doing this. So they're just enhancing the skills that they have. And we have those programs based on students who don't have their HiSET. So we have, it's a My Best program, Mississippi Integrated Basic Education Skills Training. That is the program that's offered for students who don't have a high school diploma, who may have skills already in the workforce and want to come back. And in order for them to progress at their job, they need that HiSET score. So they are working on getting the certificate or the degree at the community college at the same time while they're working on their diploma. So we try to ensure that all of the individuals who want to get the education and want the skills training, that there is a plan for them forward in getting employment.
Dr. Williams, is that a new effort, or has it been going on for a while?
No, My Best has been, the Community College Board has been offering My Best at least 8 years now. So that office falls under the Office of Adult Education. So in all of the community colleges at one point were offering that program. And again, those students were integrated into the community college. They had a badge just like everyone else, so no one could say, oh, that's a My Best student. They were all students. So they were simultaneously working on their HiSET at the same time that they were working on a certificate or a degree. And there are still colleges that are offering that.
Great. I'm glad, again, we're talking about this, so people watching, so it's not just young people. It can be young adults or others that want to go and get even more education on their particular job or field, so they get that certificate as well. Specifically, what opportunities are being pursued for the energy industry? Like, again, I know that there's lineman programs and things like, and electricians. You know, what else is new or that you're trying to develop to help develop that worker for this rapidly developing industry that's coming?
So right now, the programs that we have that currently exist, you talked about the lineman program. We have automation, mechatronics. We have oil and gas production programs as well. So the programs that exist at the community colleges are based on the request of the colleges. So we don't just throw the programs out there to them. The colleges will request them. The request usually comes because business and industry has gone to that community college to say, we need this particular program. Right now, we haven't had any new programs. There have been program expansions in their offerings. So those exit points that I spoke of earlier, they'll come back and say, we need to offer this on a degree level because this particular industry is requesting more of their students. So the programs that we offer are the oil and gas production, the energy, like the electrical programs, automation, mechatronics, and advanced manufacturing programs that may widen to other sectors, but would just be on the broader topic of advanced manufacturing.
Had a family member actually went to ICC that had a program like that for Toyota. And so the program was, I think, a 2-year program to run their computer, to basically a computer technician for the robots. And they spent 2 years of their time at ICC and community college and making over $150,000 a year. So again, 4 semesters of your time is worth $150,000. So those things, that's a real world example I know I've seen that is paying dividends in my district, my area, and in my family.
And that's the goal.
Yeah, and so those efforts are there and they're bearing fruit, if you will. So, I'm sorry, yeah.
Just add this shameless plug since we're talking about new things on the horizon. So I am a Mississippi Development Authority along with the Governor's Office and Mississippi Department of Employment and Security, we are sponsoring our first ever Energy Expo Job Fair. This is new. Job Fair has been going on since I've been in the state of Mississippi by the governor.
this one?
It is that one. A shameless plug, okay? It's only been in the background all morning. But that's one of the things, because we are answer to the industry needs. We don't want to just be reactive, but when you sit down with companies and businesses and you understand what those needs are, what those skills are, and you're working with other partnerships in economic development and training programs and workforce programs, things like this comes to fruition, because we have about 14 companies on the coast that are registered, that's signing up, and we're gonna open up the convention center. And that is the first, but we will be in all of your districts. So that's one of the new things that we're doing, because it is an energy market out here, and we want to make sure that we're introducing the existing workforce to such jobs that are available for them.
And while we're plugging,
Shamelessly.
so within the Community College Board, there's an Office of Post-Secondary Student Organizations. It is a wonderful opportunity for employers to see what our students can do. Right now in Jackson, Skills USA competition is going on. They have DECA, HOSA is one of the organizations that's coming, and then FBLA. So for every program that is in the community college system, there is a student organization attached to it that also works to prepare students for these particular jobs that they are in interest of. And so we have business and industry that can come, they serve as judges, and a lot of times those organizations' competitions serve as an interview for employers. They get a chance to see the students working in construction. They get to see them building these robots. They get a chance to see them public speak. They get a chance to see all of the things that they're taught in the classroom. They get a chance to see that. They build wonderful houses. They have all of these models for those students who are in drafting. They can see the plans that they have and see their future employer. And in order for us to ensure that we have excellent students, we have to train our instructors as well. So in July, we will host a professional development for all of our CTE teachers, and we have business and industry that come to that, service presenters for that conference. We will be in Tupelo at Cadence Bank Arena, so if anyone wants to come and participate in that, we have between 450 to 500 of our CTE instructors who will be on the premises, and we are welcoming anyone who would like to come and share their knowledge to help our instructors be better so that they can prepare our young people and all people for the jobs that exist now and those that will come.
What are the dates on that?
July 22nd through the 24th will be at Cadence Bank Arena in Tupelo.
Great. If y'all indulge us, do y'all mind staying on the panel while the students ask questions? Make sure they have any questions for y'all. And Dr. Taylor, will you mind joining the panel just in case? And students, if you want to move up front, and if you have any questions at all, now's the time. And again, I'll echo, there's no such thing as a dumb question. So any questions that you have, we got a wealth of knowledge up here, and then you have us three that can help you any way we can as well. So any students, just move up front. And while they're moving up front, Commissioner Carr.
I have a question. So it goes along with Commissioner Stamps. We need to focus on our young folks that are choosing these career paths. Is there a pipeline? Is there a pipeline to where the state, the leadership kind of mediates to get the industry or small contractors? We're leaving, I think sometimes we focus on energy, the grid, power structure, big corporations. But the majority of the jobs in our state are probably 25 or below business owners, especially like electrical contractors, plumbing contractors. They don't have that resource to get to these people? Is there a pipeline? Is that something we can work on? And it is from a mediator standpoint of getting these folks with the employees or employers. I think that's one thing that I see that we probably need to put a little bit more emphasis on, because I hate to say it in this manner, but these big corporations have a lot of money they can throw at something and to make it stick and to benefit them. The smaller contractors, the small business owners don't have that resource.
Yeah, step back a little bit, that was loud. So I think to answer your question directly is, there are many efforts to get the industries involved. It is very challenging because of your point. It's not necessarily about the money, it's the human capital. So if you're a small business owner with less than 25 people, you don't have a person that can just go out and talk about this. And it's actually something we're working on with the Business Alliance and Work Future, is trying to get more, to get the employers, but getting the right questions to the employers, not just, is this program working for you? You know, what are your competencies that you need? Because what you're hitting on is really, really a critical issue, especially in a rural state, that we don't get the voices of those people. But it's not because we're not asking for them. It's because maybe they don't know that we're asking, they don't hear it, or they just don't have time. So adjusting how we ask, when we ask, and where we ask is really important. And that's part of the, working with the Business Alliance and Work Future to try to help us engage the industry better as an industry.
Yeah, I'll just tag on to that. I mean, to your point of most employers in Mississippi are not the big boys. Obviously, those folks are important. I love them. I work with them all the time. But my membership is comprised mostly of companies of 50 employees or less. That's the bread and butter in Mississippi. They are vital, especially in our smaller communities. They are just as important as a major corporation is to the state. And that is one of the charges that we have as my organization. Through our foundation, we've put a lot of resources and raised a lot of private money to address that specific problem, and to have a partnership with Accelerate like we do, to really work hand in hand to get to that point where we're providing the information directly to students, to communities, to our educational partners, of what those needs are and how to connect those dots and get people in the door. It does no good if we educate folks, certificates, degrees, and there's no way to connect the dots of that employment opportunity at the end of the day. So that to me is the most critical function that I can play, in addition to the policy stuff where we get it right at the state level, so we set the stage, but it's really that final action that we really need more of. And so that's my focus.
Commissioner Stamps.
Let me just use this moment as a time for a little self-analysis. How can we be better in what we do to help you all do what you do?
What we're doing today is of the utmost importance. So, and I think you touched on it, we have to get the message out. One of the frustrations that I had working just focused on the manufacturing space for so long is I would go and talk to employers, these manufacturers, and they'd say, we just can't find anybody. And then you would talk to students and parents, and I'm a father of 3. Got my oldest is about to go off and find her way in life at higher education. And you talk to those folks, and they drive by these plants every single day. And there's a big metal building on the side of the road, and they have no idea what goes on in that building. I always use the example, if you're in the Forest County area and you go to high school and you grow up in that area and you drive Highway 80 all the time and you see this big metal building out there on the road and there's cows around it and there's not much out there, but you see that metal building. You have no idea that the most sophisticated radar systems in the world are produced right there in Forest, Mississippi.
That's right.
And that's a problem if you don't know that opportunity exists right down the road from you.
That's right.
We need to tell that story, and there's 100 of those examples across the state. I grew up in Mississippi, and the companies that I work with daily, I did not know they existed. I didn't know what they did. You've got the largest employer in the state, and I bet kids grow up in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and have no idea what they do with that shipyard. That is what you guys can do. You can be the megaphone for us.
Telling the story, again, is important for us and what we are doing. We know what we do in our own little closed-off world, but having more informational sessions like this so that you can find out about what happens, so that more people who are connected with the people who are writing the bills and signing the bills that are vital to the survival of community colleges and to the workforce itself, to know exactly what we do. It's great that people take interest in what the community colleges have to offer when an organization or a business is coming, but it needs to be something that's done all the time. You know, what if we need people to go into the workforce, put money into the educational system so that these students at a younger age will be able to take these interest assessments to find out what it is that they need to do, because having them on a path where there's going to be a series of tests about things that are not relevant to what their interests are is not beneficial, and this is my opinion. I probably should just preface that.
I think we're past that.
We're past that. I'm down the road now.
Yep.
But we need to ensure that we are looking after the student. What are your needs? What is it that you want to do? And then how can we match that up with the resources that we have available to make sure that we put those people in the right places to set them up so that they're not 45, 50 years old trying to figure out what it is we want to do, right? So they have spent time, effort going into the path that they thought was most acceptable and not something that they wanted to do. Because they're not really educated on what exists, what opportunities exist in those particular areas. It's like he was talking about, you have Raytheon and people don't know that there are different things. You may put it together, but you could be the engineer. You could be the person who's coming up with the idea to do it. An engineer may be a big word for them, but if they can break it down and say engineering technology and what exists in that path for them that would lead to those other things, it could be a stepping stone for them. So that student who may not have been college ready, once they get into the career and they see what courses they need to take and, oh, this is easy to me, they may be able to build upon those things and go into those careers. But it is telling the story. It is making the path a little bit cleaner for them, least resistant path for these students to get them from being in the educational setting to go into work so that they can become scholar practitioners. They know what it is that they're doing those things over and over again, and they become the expert in their field based on the skills that they have gained. So I think that removing those barriers for them and starting that with the people who are writing the bills, having them to understand what we do and getting that message out.
And before we go to the next one, John, you're right. You know, the in North Mississippi, who would have thought growing up we would make helicopters here? So you know the Lakota's built there as well as a commercial helicopter. So you know a lot of people don't even know that you could work on a manufacturing facility that builds helicopters in Mississippi. Not only automobiles and helicopters and advanced radar and ships. It's amazing the opportunities in Mississippi, and you're right. We need to, all y'all are right, we need to start talking about it. And there are students out there that will light up. It's like, oh, cool. I could actually make helicopters or build ships or advanced radar. All the many opportunities that we have in the state. We just, again, need to make sure that everybody knows about it. And then how do you get that job? And what skills do you need through the process to get there? So.
Conversation a little bit, and I'm going to tell a quick story. Speaking of North Mississippi, so I moved to Mississippi to run the Communiversity at East Mississippi, which is massive advanced manufacturing training facility. And I don't know, a couple months in, they had a open house of sorts, and PACCAR, which you may be familiar with, builds truck engines. It's PACCAR Engine Company. Okay, that's important. But we were having this event, and there was was an adult, that was probably in their 50s or 60s, that had lived in the region their entire lives. They walked up, they had engines on display, and they walked up and they're like, huh, that's what PACCAR does. Like, it's in the name. But it's also, what is an engine? What does it mean to make an engine? Like, these things are really hard for people if you've never been in the world, and I am very spoiled because I get to be in all of these worlds and look at it. And so I think we just have to use our influence in our communities to make all of this make sense. It's not going to come from people like me in state jobs. It's going to come from the humans, the students who are attacking these roles and trying to figure this out. Talk to your friends. Our elected leaders, talk to people and make it as simple as we can for them. I think, we have a program called Reconnect, and we had a student. And it wasn't actually even a student. He had just heard about the program, and it blew up on TikTok. And he used, very frankly, some choice language. It was hilarious. But it connected to the individuals. And that did more for that program than any one of our polished, crazy things we put out. And so it's just a constant reminder that we all have our networks, and we all need to be talking about this, and we cannot afford to gloss over the details. So students, tell your friends what you're doing and be very proud of it, because you should be. Because it is so much easier in our culture right now to just do nothing at every level, for kids, for adults, for all of us. It's just easier to do nothing. And in fact, humans are the only species that will do less than necessary to survive. So don't do that. Use your hands, get to work, do things. And I think we all have our own personal networks, and I think we just need to use them more. And so I think, you guys asked, like, what can we do? I think get specific about the things that we've all talked about that matter to you in your world, whatever that is. Pick one or two things. You can't care about everything. And I think the more that we all do that, the more this starts to get kind of a groundswell going.
The partnerships that work best, I think, are the partnerships that focus on solving real problems. We are a combined pool of industry insight, educational capacity, and state-level coordination. We are the pipeline that we want to build. So it is important that we tap into that. We're not in competition, but we're a collective body that can help advance our state. So the best that I would say, especially to our students, know that there is no particular energy sector, energy career, that you may think outside of just, the linemen and the technicians. We need policy makers, as we're referring to the people across the street. We need people who are elected to these positions, such as our commissioners, to understand the subject in which you're asked to support. And energy does not look like one person. Energy is just what it is. It is activity, it is movement, and we always want to accelerate, advance movement, to be a part of a unit and a team. So I say to you, work hard while you're in school. Do not leave the mathematics and science behind you, but also explore your mind outside of just the classroom. There's so many things on the internet you can use for positive things, thinking about the energy sector. I was in a meeting yesterday, and they used two terms, and I was like, okay, can I go here and find out exactly what this is? We met a few weeks ago with geologists, and I was like, God, I should have paid more attention to the periodic table, okay? So don't be me. You get lots of late nights and early mornings doing that.
Thank y'all. If it's okay, we're going to move into the student Q&A. Here's your opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. You got a question here? Yes, sir. Slide that microphone towards you. It should be hot. If you'll just grab it. Yes, sir.
First of all, my name is Josh Brown. Growing up in Greenwood, Mississippi, where I was born, my daddy said, hold it, I am in construction. So as a child, he taught me and my brother construction. I graduated Jackson State College and majored in music. I only know two things, music and construction. I said that to say this. Familiarity of what's available out there is what these students do not know about. They know the things that their parents may have taught them down the line and the resources. Once they go to school, when I came up, they had home economic for the females in school, and they taught shop. When those things got out, there was no outlet for us to train or to come up with other concepts. So the only thing I'm trying to say is availability of knowledge for the youngsters to know what to do. At West Jackson CDC, I am the construction manager. I also teach construction there. I am the janitor, and I am the handy person there, or the handyman. We do all kinds of things to try to show these students what to do. Once they graduate, they get along with their diploma or construction certificate, which when you have that, they can go to UCLA or anywhere they want to go, Yale, if their grades will allow them there once they graduate. But at the same time, these particular students have something that high schoolers do not have, which is a certificate that I can do construction, that they have learned these kinds of things. These students are really smart students. They even cry when they miss one question, and I can prove that from some people. But the things that they are learning are meaningful to them. They just don't know what to learn because lack of knowledge of what's available to them. I think if that could get to them, that would be one of the biggest resources you could ever have, is get them to do that.
Okay.
And I'm through with that. I just wanted to make that statement in behalf of the people here from West Jackson CDC Community Development. And those are the things that we do. And the students that's there wearing these Youth Build t-shirts are very well smart students, but it's opportunities that's there for them to not to achieve, but to know what it is they're trying to achieve to get to. Lack of knowledge, what's out there available to them to strive for is the key, I think. Thank you for that.
Mr. Brown, I appreciate what you're doing. It's very noble.
I would like to add something real quick. I completely agree, sir, and I'll also say that we've made kind of an unpopular decision with our career coaches this year to push them, ask the planning and development districts and the people running that program to push them into the 8th grade next year, so that the kids, when they get into the high school, it's still a little bit late. That's what Val and I were talking about, Dr. Williams and I were talking about. It's still a little bit late. However, it's better than waiting until the 11th or 12th grade, so you're spot on.
It's progress.
It is.
We're slowly getting their interest filled and a career path established while they're still paying attention and while we have time.
Before they've decided they can't be successful.
Right, and possibly leave education completely.
Yep.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth D. Cleveland. I'm here representing the West Jackson CDC also. First, I want to make sure any students have any questions. Anything? Any questions? Well, I started in the renewable energy industry a decade ago. My company was one of the pioneers to build the first solar farm in the state of Mississippi to prove the concept that we could take the rays from the sun and create power to sell to the largest utility company in the state, which is Entergy. During that ceremony, I had the honor to invite Mr. Stamps. He spoke at my ceremony at the solar farm. So I'm collaborating with Jackson State University to come and give some insight to these young ladies and gentlemen here at the center. And what we're doing is to indirectly address crime in the city of Jackson for its Hinds County. And one of the reasons I think most people are not aware nationwide of what the state of Mississippi offers is the image. Most of the time when they see the crime rate, our image decreases for as negativity. So what I decided to do is to take what I've learned in the industry to address the crime. Because if the house on fire and everybody's running away from the house, even though we know the crime is committed by 16 to 24-year-old, well, I decided to run to the house that's burning down to address the crime issue by giving them advice on and educating them on the solar industry as well as the EV charging station industry. So what we could do is reduce crime by teaching them a different way of life and preparing them for this amazing industry that's going to pay between $40,000 to $70,000 a year. We know it's data centers that's coming in Madison and other locations in Brandon, but we also got to keep in mind, we got a $700 million solar farm industry that's coming to Raymond. And with that $700 million, they're going to need general workers to install these solar systems. So I'm there at the center to educate them on the market, to educate them on the importance and the advantages of being a general worker for as installing solar in the city of Raymond. So I want to let you guys know we appreciate what's being done. We appreciate your support. We need more support in this program so we can work together to decrease the crime by teaching these young people so they can go home and tell other young people that's in the street, don't see a way out, because we must address that directly. You know, we can pray about it. Prayer's not enough. We have to take action. And that's what we're doing at the West Jackson Center, is taking action. So that's what I'd like to share today.
Thank you.
Yep. Gentlemen, got a question?
I got a question about the Energy Expo and Job Fair. Do y'all know if or when y'all have one in like the metro area?
Planning to conduct one in the central Mississippi. We hadn't set a date. We have the first day for the one that started on the coast, but we do plan to do one in every region of the state. That information will be public. You can find it at MEDS website, my website, Mississippi.org, and the governor's office website.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions, students? Yes. Yep. No, you're good.
But y'all on the panel over there mentioned how important math and science was, and we typically think, like, you know, if you're doing construction work, which I'm a construction electrician or service electrician, just been teaching a couple years, you think maybe they don't need to know much math and science, but we actually use math all the time. I mean, is that right? And that is something I find lacking in a lot of students coming out of K-12. I mean, I had to explain what 2 times 2 was to somebody this week. And that's on a college level.
College student.
That's a college student who came out with a 3.2 GPA. So that is something that needs to be built up before we even start teaching them trades. How to read a ruler. That's something we learn in 3rd grade, because my daughter's a 3rd grader, but then we never learn it again. We never touch on it ever again. So, you know, when talking with educators and stuff, that is something that's very important, not just to higher education, but if you're going to be working in a field, like, you're going to be reading a tape measure no matter what you go do, if it's some kind of career trade. So that's just something that keep in mind, you know, as you're talking to different educators, and especially on the K through 12 level. It takes a lot of my time to go back and explain what a denominator is in a fraction. But if anybody's looked at a tape measure, there's a bunch of fractions on there. We need to know them. And so just something.
Sort of going to be branded as the policy guy, but the fact that we spend as much money as we do at higher education levels on remedial training is a crime.
Do you want a stat straight off the?
Let's get into the number.
Oh, Courtney's got data.
30, it literally just my team put it together the last week. 38% of students that we consider college and career ready in Mississippi are taking remedial courses, or either because of their lack of, you know, scoring or whatever, or because of their ACT score. So either they're not prepared, or they're not prepared for the job, the career they say they want. And so that is a massive gap. But it's 38%.
It is
Public and private, by the way.
It's a huge problem.
Yep.
So that first semester in community college, when they come in, they are not taking the courses specifically designed for that program of study. They are in remedial courses, which is a semester that they could have been using to apply to that program of study that they can't. So.
And it's costing them money if they're paying for it
It is costing
themselves.
more money, yes.
How many times do we want to pay for the same thing as a state is a question we've got to ask. Can I ask you a question? And this is meant to be targeted for a reason. How much formal preparation in teaching math do you have in your field? Like formally teaching math, not, yeah. Uh-huh, none. And so that's what we're doing in CTE especially, is you're asking instructors who are really good at a craft or a thing to now also be math teachers or English teachers or whatever. And so we have started, we've had some conversations, we haven't gotten there yet though with Ole Miss, because they have some math teaching work that they do to try to put some programs together to help our teachers in the short term, our CTE instructors specifically. I don't need y'all to be math teachers, but some skills to try to help you to be able to do that. But until we get that problem fixed, we're going to have to put a little bit of a Band-Aid on it. So I really appreciate you bringing that up because it's important.
Heard about and talked about. Policymakers have identified math as a major shortfall right now, and so they've are essentially going to try to overlay the exact same model with mathematics into the K-12 system, so that kids aren't able to advance without certain math skills and just that baseline knowledge, so that you don't run into this problem ever again. That should be the goal. Is this should never be a problem. You should have students ready to go with whatever that pathway is, that the remedial stuff isn't in the equation. So,
And
point very well taken.
And that could be even more transformative when we start talking about STEM.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't do math, how can you be prepared for STEM? Or electrician, electronics, and that you, like you said, even doing fractions to read a tape measure.
Yeah, it's basically going to be a math game.
Right. Thank you. Students, any questions? Nope.
That's right. Skills pay the bills.
That's right.
Let's just start there. The skilled man will always be the master of the unskilled man. If I know how to change a tire and you don't, I can charge you $100 to change that tire. So take a moment to sit back. You heard a lot of high-level conversations today, but when it comes to being on the ground and executing everything you heard, the first step is align your spirit to what you want to do and look at all the opportunities at your local community college. And then find people that are in your local community who may be a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC person, and tag along with them. Because one thing that every skilled labor person I know, the number one problem they have, they don't have any help. If you just drove the truck while they made phone calls, or if you just helped load up the equipment, that couple of months you spent volunteering and working with someone who is in that industry, and sometimes it may be for free. A couple of Saturdays a month can pay huge dividends, because most of them are retiring, and they may even put you in a position to be the next person in their business with their customers in the future. So there's just volunteer spaces, education spaces, and economic opportunity and job, career type spaces you can mesh yourself into to be productive and move forward. You got to find some folks that's in your community. I've never met a broke electrician in my life. I've never met a broke plumber in my life. I know a bunch of broke lawyers. All right? So nothing against the lawyers that's in the room. My point I'm trying to say is, when I got ready to leave high school, one of the things that deterred me from going to college was everybody I knew who is in college was, one, they were broke, and two, they were dumb. They wasn't thinking. They weren't using the time that they had in college to maximize their own opportunities. But if you turn around and say, you know what, I can go make money, earn a living, and maximize these universities, these colleges. Don't just go there and get on Instagram and TikTok all day long. Go there and really build good relationships with the folks that are in junior college. Not just go to the junior college or go to the university for an education. Go there for the relationships that you're going to build for the rest of your life. And if you got the right focus and the right execution plan, you'll be able to be successful. But there'll be a lot of distracted people who will be unsuccessful in America because they weren't focused. So that's where you start. Get as many skills as possible.
Somebody's not willing to do it and you have the skill, you can charge whatever you want.
That's right.
And like you, I've never seen a broke electrician.
No.
and they're hard to find.
That's right.
And there's plenty of attorneys. So to your point, that's right. Yeah, no slight on that, but that's 6+ years of your time to be that.
And we need good attorneys. Don't
We
get
do.
me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
But we need a whole bunch of good plumbers and electricians too.
Yep.
Years ago, I went to the mall on the coast, and I was looking around this, when I was studying for my electrical examination to get my master's electrical license to be in business. To Mr. Stan's point, it jogged a memory. In the title of the book, you could live next door to a millionaire if you live by a plumber, electrician, HVAC guy. The opportunities are huge. You know, look everywhere. There is a gold nugget, so to speak, under every rock somewhere. And if you fail, my dad had it saying, son, you can give out, but don't ever give up. You may run out of wind. You may be depressed, discouraged. Your friends are on your back. You know, believe in yourself. You got your career. You got your life ahead of you. Move forward. Just move forward. Just keep moving every single day. Move forward. You know, life is, you know, I'm thinking about a scripture, talks in Proverbs about wisdom and knowledge. You know what the key to wisdom and knowledge is? Understanding. Understanding what you have and exercising it. That's your job, is the understanding. God can give you the wisdom, and the education can give you the knowledge. It's your job to give the understanding to what you've been given.
And I'll echo what both my colleagues says. My grandfather always says, can't never could do nothing. So if we think we can't, we won't. And so it's the person that stays after it and finds, you know, like an electrician, or find somebody that has a skill that you enjoy and shadow them. Like Commissioner Stamp said, just shadow them for a while. Most of them are aging out, and they want to impart their decades of information and knowledge to somebody because they're trying to pay it forward and educate you for what they're doing. And a lot of times you'll learn a lot more there than anywhere. You know, I learned a tremendous amount sitting around the heater in my dad's old gas station. Old timers would come in and a wealth of knowledge. Some of them only went to the 10th grade, but they were geniuses in their field. And I would trust them over almost anybody else. One little real life example, there was a guy that learned how to drive a bulldozer and a backhoe. Well, he came and he said, hey, you want me to build you a pond, a lake? Well, he didn't have the credentials. So I went with the engineer guy that had all the credentials. Well, he built it, and less than a year later, it failed. The good old boy had been doing it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. He came out with his equipment. He looked at it. He said, that was engineered by so-and-so school. I was like, well, yeah. He's like, they all fail. I was like, well, why is that? Because the real world experience makes a huge difference in your skill. And so what he didn't learn in college, he learned from somebody he shadowed that taught him how to build a dam, how to build a pond levee. So he came back and fixed it, and 20 years later, that pond levee's still there. So I tell that story to say that there's wisdom and knowledge everywhere. Yes, there's wisdom to be gathered in college, but there's also tremendous wisdom to figure out what you like. Hey, if that looks cool, go shadow somebody and learn how to do it. And then do something that you enjoy, get a skill that nobody else has, and then you'll always be in demand. So I looked up a few things, I know we're over time, but I just asked ChatGPT, what are the coolest things that are built in Mississippi? So top 10, rocket engines at Stennis Space Center, helicopters and Airbus in Columbus, U.S. Navy ships at Pascagoula, spacecraft components, Lockheed Martin, Advanced Aerospace and Defense Systems. That's the advanced radar. Steel for Nucor. They make steel for skyscrapers and other cool things. Obviously, the chicken that you eat. Most of the chicken that you eat is grown in Mississippi. I didn't know this one. Number 8, Frito-Lay. According to this, they make Doritos and Cheetos in Mississippi. Who knew that? I didn't. Paper goods, toilet paper, paper towels, and Kimberly-Clark and Corinth. Rail and transportation equipment. They build train cars in Mississippi. I had no clue that that was happening. So there's so many things to the panel's point. There's so many cool things in Mississippi that if we talk about it as a student, you could say that would be cool. Let's go learn how to do that. And then maybe there's apprenticeship or a college program to get you ready to go into that field. So it's exciting time. That's why we had this summit. You know, we started all 3 commissioners were new, and we wanted to learn, and we wanted to have everybody else learn along with us. And so we bring experts like our panel and those that spoke to us in a series of summits over the last couple of years, not only to educate us, but to educate people that watch this too. So our job is to try to make Mississippi a better place and focus on quality of life and make sure that our utilities, the energy sector, which we're pushing today, is stable and ready, and we're ready for the future so everybody can have truly a brighter future. And so any other closing remarks, colleagues?
Yes. My daughters are both teachers. My son worked with me. I told him about electrical, about building. He went to school, he became a lawyer. He worked in this very commission. He worked his way up. Hard work. I mean, he made me very proud. You know why? It's the only man I want to be better than me. And he was better than me. These teachers that are in your school, I've experienced a little bit of what they see in their students. They want them to be better than them. I have 2 apprentices that worked underneath me that far exceeded me. And every time I see them, it makes me proud because I had a small part in that, along with these other administrators, these other teachers. It's about you now, but it's also about handing that baton off to that next generation. The weight's on your back. And God will never put more on you than you can handle. Don't ask for a lighter load. Ask for a stronger back. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, and thank you to all the panelists and those that contributed. Thank you, students, for coming, and we look forward to seeing what y'all end up doing, following your career. So stay at it, and no other questions or comments. Thanks again, everybody that put this on, and we stand adjourned.